I'm not a commie.
Differently interesting extra time communion for minicab drivers.
Take the money and sit back down again.
Breastfeeding mums.
Oh, you've not been giving it its breakfast again, have you?
And people disturbed by urban foxes engaged in the act of lovemaking behind their bins.
Anybody there?
The two Mikes. Overworked, overweight, overpaid, overnight. On Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Don't worry about the time, mate, when 150,000 penguins are at risk. I always went down the dog section, even though I didn't have a dog.
Right.
And I used to buy, like, packets of those chewy things.
Right.
And...
Well, those were okay.
Yeah, but not in the volume I was giving them to the dog.
Well, how many were you giving him?
About 12 a day.
Really?
Yeah. Does he like them? And I
wonder
thought...
he threw up on Alan Sugar. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Good morning, Mike. It's great to be here again. You're absolutely right to highlight Lionel Messi as the man of the moment.
Yes.
300 goals in a career,
Yeah. Do you remember that
which has
conversation
been spectacular.
Do you remember that conversation we had last night about Ronaldo and Messi, how you're kind of Ronaldo to me, the Messi.
Yes.
And every time Ronaldo does something,
Yes.
you know, he gets kind of completely stymied by his main foe because he's getting all the headlines.
Well, you say that, but I mean, nevertheless, we're probably looking at the greatest footballer ever in Lionel Messi. Did you see his second goal tonight?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the way he hit it? I mean, it was just completely spectacular.
Yeah.
He didn't even think about it, and then did it with the wrong part of his foot, but it still went searingly, blazingly past the goalkeeper into the back of the net.
Exactly.
Like most of the goals he scored over the years. It is all about footballers tonight, right? I think we should concentrate on talking about Messi, right, because he's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Old Joleon Lescott, who seems to have lost his head a little bit.
He does, rather.
He's a former Everton player, of course.
Yeah, of course he is, yeah.
He was at Wolves, and Davy Moyes went and spotted him, as he spotted Jagielka. He was great at spotting players from the lower leagues. So I think you can say that Davy Moyes gave Joleon Lescott his big break. He brought him to his first big club, right?
Yeah, right.
And he then took the old Manchester City shilling and pushed off to the Light Blues. And
why wouldn't he do that? I mean, he's trying to better himself. I mean, that's the sort of thing you always suggest people should always do.
It was a great story, actually, because Lescott was on the training field at Everton, and Davy Moyes, I am told, on very reliable evidence, came out one morning and asked Joleon in front of the rest of the squad, have you been taking phone calls from anybody who might try to be tempting you to go to another club, Joleon?
Really? That's a bit unkind, isn't it, to do in front of everybody else?
Well, I'm told this story is entirely accurate. If anybody wants to disagree with it, then please give me a shout.
Well, I'm not saying it's not accurate. I'm just saying it seems a bit uncouth, really, to do that in front of all of his other
Well,
mates.
I think a manager's got the right to do it if he thinks that, you know, the players are doing things behind his back. However...
Was he taking any phone calls from Manchester United, do you think, before he went to manage them?
Well, I'm not... That's not the second part of the story.
Just a question.
No, the second part of the story is Joleon replied by saying... Yeah, a bit like the phone calls you were giving me when I was at Wolves, boss.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Let's go to my training.
There you go.
And so they did. So we've got Lionel Messi to talk about. We've got Joleon Lescott. But there is a hero footballer in the world I want to talk about as well.
Yes.
And this hero footballer...
Well, hang on, what about old Zlatan Ibrahimovic? We've got to talk about him as well.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about him, but I mean, that's a teaser. But the one I want to talk about, the man who I think really deserves all the praise, is Dmitry Tarasov.
You're joking.
No, Dmitry.
You are joking.
I'm not. Dmitry Tarasov, right? This guy...
Funnily enough, I was going to raise this with you because this is the guy who is now in an awful lot of trouble with the footballing authorities.
Yes.
Because he made a political statement after a football match.
Well, he didn't make a political statement. He's a nationalist. He's a Russian. He loves his country. And so after a particular incident in the game in which he was playing last night for old Lokomotiv...
Moscow,
Lokomotiv Moscow are playing in Fenerbahce in Istanbul, right?
Yeah.
And remember, Lokomotiv Moscow is the
Mosquise.
Lokomotiv...
Moscow.
Moscow, Lokomotiv Moscow.
Yeah.
Lokomotiv Moscow.
Yes, that's
Lokomotiv Moscow.
Moscow.
They are... Yes. They are literally the club of the people.
Are they?
Because they were formed by the railway
more than
workers...
CSKA Moscow.
What?
More than CSKA Moscow. Which is the other Moscow team. Yeah, CSKA.
There's 4 teams in Moscow.
CSKA. CSKA. You pronounce it CSKA.
Lokomotiv is the club of the people. It was formed by the Railway Workers Division of the Communist Party, right?
Why are you getting so excited about this?
Well, I'm getting so excited because the reason this guy's now in trouble is that after he scored a goal... Did he score a goal?
No, it was at the end of the game.
It was the end of the game, that's right. It was the end of the game. At the end of the game, he suddenly whipped off his Lokomotiv Moscow shirt to reveal a second shirt on, in which he had an image of his leader, Mr. Putin.
Of your leader, you mean?
His leader, Mr. Putin.
Of your leader.
In a military-style attire, with a sort of, one of them sort of military hats on that the Russian army wear, you know what I mean? Not the, like the small hat, not the big hat sort of thing. And all he's doing is saying, I'm proud of my leader. For that, the football authorities are going to try and charge him.
There's an awful lot more to it than that. They were playing in Turkey, right?
Yeah.
Where there's been an awful lot of, shall we say, tension politically between Russia and Turkey.
On the border.
Ever since the Turks shot down a Russian plane.
Well, has been a bit of a problem there, I have to agree.
So, I mean, he was rather naive to think that he was just going, oh, yes, and the slogan apparently says, the most polite president.
Yeah, well, that's all the caption said, the most polite president. And Dmitry said after the game, he's my president, I respect him. Now, that to me, how can you possibly fine a man for that? How can you punish a man?
Because it's a political statement.
It's not a political statement.
Statements are not allowed.
It's not a political statement. So, OK, let's take the analogy of Chelsea, say, last night in France, OK? And at the end of the game, a Chelsea player takes off his shirt, there's a picture of David Cameron, and it says, the most polite Prime Minister. Yeah. He wouldn't get fined for that.
Yeah, he would. Of course he would.
No, he wouldn't.
Because David Cameron's a politician.
Do you think there's any likelihood of that ever happening?
No.
No? I think it's more likely, isn't it?
Well, part of anything else, most of Chelsea players are not English.
Well, that's absolutely true. So
more than likely there'd be more chances of holding up the Brazilian president.
I think it's more likely that some sort of radical revolutionary type footballer, and I suppose we have got a couple in this country, would rip off his shirt to Comrade Corbyn. Yeah. The picture of Jeremy Corbyn underneath it.
Maybe I'll get you one of these shirts. Would you like one of these shirts for your birthday?
No, of course I won't. Look,
you would like to wear one of these Putin. I mean, your Putin fascination is getting ridiculously out of hand.
You're mad. All I'm saying is you can't condemn a man because he has pride in his own country. And that's all he was indicating. Pride in your country can be symbolised by the leader of your country. Putin is undisputedly the leader of Russia. Russia is a country with a magnificent history. The Romanovs, the Tsars, the Peter the Great, the great architect of St. Petersburg. I can't say...
Why don't you just go and live in Russia?
I can't...
Why don't you just go and live there?
Can you just shut up and let me finish?
I mean, if you think that Russia is such a great place and that Vladimir Putin is such a fine man, why don't you just go and live there?
I can't see how you can punish a man for simply being patriotic. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, as far as I'm concerned...
Because you can't make religious or political statements, and showing a picture of a world leader on your T-shirt is a political statement.
Right, so
particularly in Turkey.
So putting on an Italian shirt, which is one of the few shirts in the world that carries the Italian national flag, well, I mean, the national flag of the country, obviously...
No, the England shirts usually have the England flag on them.
No, they don't. They have 3 lions. No, they don't have the flag at all.
I've seen 3 lions. I'm sure I've seen an English shirt with the England flag on it.
No, you haven't, honestly. They have the 3 lions. They have a symbol, but what I'm saying is, the Italians...
I'm pretty sure the French have the French flag as well.
What?
I'm pretty sure the French have the French flag as well.
They have it on their sleeves.
And I'm pretty sure the Irish have the Irish flag.
The Irish don't have the flag on their shirt. Now, let me just tell you this. So as far as I'm concerned, you might as well find every Italian player who wears an Italian shirt with the Italian flag on. Of course it's the same thing.
There is a difference between the flag...
What is the difference? All you're saying is, I support my country.
No, the difference is, if you were not too boneheaded to see it...
I am not a bonehead.
There's a difference between
a flag... And
I
will reject that sort of accusation.
The flag of a country does not refer to any political person...
Of course it
or
does.
Any political party.
Oh,
no,
who does it refer to, then?
It refers to the country itself, OK? Now, a picture of the Prime Minister or the President...
It says that I'm Italian, I'm playing for Italy, I represent my country and I love my country.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But when you start to... If you put a picture of Vladimir Putin on the shirt...
Yes.
Or a picture of the Prime Minister of Italy or the picture of the Prime Minister of this country...
Yes.
That's a very big difference. That is a political statement.
It's not.
How can you not see that?
Mr. Putin was voted in a democratic election, OK?
Oh, give me a break.
Therefore... What?
Give me a break.
What's your problem?
What do you mean? Well, who was standing against him?
Who was standing against him? The person who didn't win. That's why he's indisputably the leader of Russia.
Win. Yeah, right.
So what I'm saying is...
And when he decided to become Prime Minister, he just decided to make somebody else president for a while. Then he decided to become president again, so he became president again.
Yes, well, that's the way it works in Russia.
There's no
We've
point
no right to go, storming around telling Russia how to run their country.
Well, let me tell you
we've done enough
story.
of that in the Middle East. Look at the state of the Middle East.
Let me tell
you
you
go around
story.
telling people how to run their countries. You get chaos. You get warfare. You get rebellion.
Listen, Comrade Porky. Let me tell you another story that's come out of Russia today, right?
Oh, yes.
There's a man by the name of Pavel Grudinin, right?
Pavel, yeah.
You may not have heard of him. He runs something called the Lenin Farm.
Oh, does he?
Right, on the southern boundary of Moscow.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, he's come out and said that he produces European quality milk, but he can't run a profitable business. Why? He says because in Russia you cannot run a profitable business. What is profitable, he says, is holding a government post so you can bribe and extort money created by others. It's taken us 3 years to get permission to build any kind of building on this land. He says how it works in Russia is everyone knows what's going on, but nobody does anything about it.
What's that guy's name?
His name is Pavel Grudenin.
Well, Pavel sounds like a bitter, whinging bum to me who probably doesn't know how to run his business properly.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Okay?
I think you should get yourself a free visa to Russia and take a one-way ticket to Moscow and go and hang around there for a few months and see how well you get on.
It's a denial of human rights not to allow somebody to express their support for their country, and that's what the football authorities are trying to do.
Completely wrong.
That's what the football authorities are trying to do with this man, this great Russian who's proud to be Russian, Dmitry. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, I don't know what your problem is. You've got no answer. You have no answer.
No, we've run out of time. I've got plenty of answers, but we will have to wait until the next part of the show because I'm going to be giving you the answers from the listeners who will be just as appalled as I am, I'm sure.
I don't think so.
Your brazen and craven attitude about trying to get some kind of freebie out of Russia. This is Talk Sport.
Hawksby and Jacobs.
Free chips.
This afternoon from 1.
You've got to draw the line somewhere.
Talk Sport.
I'm not a commie. I'm not a commie.
Why are you standing up?
Sorry?
Why are you standing up?
I'm not standing up.
Yes, you are.
How dare you?
You stood up as soon as that music started.
I did not. How
Yes,
dare
you
you
did.
mislead the audience to that? I am British. I'm very proud to be British. However, it does not stop you having admiration for other countries and the way they run their affairs.
Well, I mean, what's even more appalling is that you, as a senior member, supposedly, of the English FA, as it is sometimes known, or as the Russians would like it to be known, are supposed to uphold the rules of international football.
Yes.
And the rules of international football say that you cannot make a statement of either any political or religious nature while you are playing football for your club or for your country.
I do not think, under any circumstances, it's a political statement to merely put a picture of your leader who's been democratically voted into office in the country you come from. How can that be political? That's madness.
Because Putin is a politician.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to say Russia. If he had
but he's
Russian
a Russian
flag,
as well.
I mean,
he's the leading Russian.
No, but that's not the point. Even if he had a Russian flag, in the situation that they are in, Turkey versus Russia, right? It's very clear that anything that you say could be very incendiary. And I mean, it was incendiary enough as it was. You know, because the Fenerbahce fans were pelting the Lokomotiv Moscow team with stones anyway already as they started. So let's talk to Mal, who's in Scotland, who's got something to say about it. Mal, very good morning to you.
How you doing, pal? All right?
Yeah, hi, Mal. Very good,
What do you want to say?
Well, basically, I'm just listening to you talking about there. Well, and obviously I've got the accent Scottish, but that's Simon Northern Ireland. That's basically my country. And basically, I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion. If this Russian guy wants to take his shirt off and declare his support for whoever it was, he's entitled to do it.
Well, no, you can't, though, because you're not allowed by the rules of international football to make a political statement.
It's not a political statement.
Of course it's a political statement.
He's not
broken
said,
the rules.
He has not said, Mal, I'm sure you'll support me here, he didn't take off a shirt and underneath it said, vote for Putin in the election. All he said was, Putin, the most polite president. How's that political?
It's not political, mate. I 100% agree with you. He's took his shirt off.
Yeah.
And he's made his statement. I mean, footballers sometimes take off shirts and celebrate, say, for example, the birth of a child.
Yeah. Well, that's not political, is it? How is that political?
Of course it's not political. I'm not saying that.
But a picture of Vladimir Putin is political.
Well, which the guy done wrong? That's my point. I agree with that. Which the guy done wrong?
Well,
he's made a statement.
He's
something that he believes in.
No, it's not. It's a political statement, Mal. Are you some kind of Putin lover as well?
Hang on. To say a man is polite is not a political statement.
Of course it is.
To try and encourage people on a worldwide audience because you're on TV to vote for that man if there's an election coming is political. So I'm afraid that football's got itself in a twist.
So football's wrong. As usual, Mal, can't believe that you agree with Porky. That's absolutely incredible. What about the RAF Typhoon scrambled earlier on today to intercept 2 Russian bombers heading towards UK airspace?
A very good thing.
Anything to do with that?
A very good thing. We have to have strong defences in this country. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, seems to be a little bit unaware of that because he goes around scrapping our ships in the Royal Navy. We've got very few ships left. He scrapped the Ark Royal, which was our what do you call it?
Aircraft
carrier. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
And I'm very worried about the rundown of the armed forces in this country. I mean, when you see the might of the world building up around us and the paucity of the defence provisions we have in this country...
We've got nothing to fear from the politest president in the world, have we?
Oh, we've got everything to fear from Russia because Russia are an ambitious country. But that doesn't make them a bad country. Every country should be ambitious, and we should be ambitious and robust in stating where we stand in the world, just like Mr. Putin is for Russia.
I see.
But there's nothing political about saying, I admire my president in a democratically elected country. I just don't see how that can be political. I think it's rubbish.
Well, listen to what the listeners have to say.
No, all you're doing is...
Kevin says this.
Yes.
Go on. What am I doing then?
All you're doing is parroting some weird sort of belief that just to express an opinion about somebody is political. It's not.
Well, it is in the circumstances. If you thought about it, like I said, if you weren't some kind of boneheaded kind of
I'm
Russian
not a bonehead, dumb cough.
Russian lover, you would see that anything going on between Turkey and Russia right now is very, very sensitive. And he knew what he was doing. This Dmitry guy, he was not showing his love for his president. He was making a political statement. And Kevin agrees. He says, if that's not a political statement, I would love Mike Parry to tell us what is.
Yeah, well, a political statement, I've just explained. What's this guy's name?
Kevin.
Kevin, I have just explained, if you're listening, a political statement would be if that shirt said something like, Russia is great country, Turkey back off. That would be a political statement, OK?
OK, how
about
A political
statement would be, Mr. Putin is the world's greatest leader. Vote Putin. I mean, that would be political.
Vote often.
Yeah.
Gary says this, almost suspected MG of gerrymandering the podcast to make Porky appear mad, but listening live, I was wrong.
What?
Porksky.
No, I'm sorry. Listen, what I'm trying to do is, there's this perception that anything written on a shirt in a public arena is a political statement. It's not. I mean, we don't suddenly leap up in rage when some, lovey from, the showbiz world or something like that suddenly stands on a stage and tells people in the audience, please donate a load of money to a cause that I support.
Well, actually, we do.
That should be banned. That should be banned.
No, I don't want to ban anything.
Well, I don't want to ban anything, but you want to ban this guy wearing a shirt.
I don't want to ban him. The rules are the rules, and so the rules say that quite clearly you cannot make a political statement, therefore you can't make a political statement. It's nothing to do with what I want. He will be banned because he's broken the rules.
It's the interpretation of a political statement which I find very, very odd.
Dennis says this, why is Porky standing up to the Russian national anthem? I thought he loved being British.
I do love being British, and I wasn't standing up. That was I'm sorry, but that was a piece of misinformation fed to you by the fat dumb cough in the studio here.
Villain says, I'm pretty sure the 1998 World Cup top had a small St. George on it, MG. It's unlike Porky to get it wrong. Maybe he's German.
No, I don't get things wrong. Believe me, I check my facts before I deliver the info that the nation awaits.
Julian says, set up a bookmakers in the outskirts of Moscow and the mob moved in and said, OK, but we want 80% protection free.
Well, do you think that there aren't protection rackets going on in places in Miami and Chicago and places like that?
I don't know. We're not talking about Miami and Chicago.
It is life, I'm afraid. It's a life. I don't know how much racketeering goes on in Russia or America or Cuba, but it goes on all over the world, and different countries deal with it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
How about this one from Andrew, who says, politicising football, not worth celebrating. Was the Russia FIFA World Cup bid democratic as well?
Well, it's going to happen there, whatever is democratic or not. I mean, to start talking now about the democratic voting process within football is, just ridiculous. We all know it's massively corrupt. So it's not just the Russians who are involved in gerrymandering the vote and support for their country. There are lots of other countries who've been at it for years and years and years and still are. So you can't single out the Russians for that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, you get a load of tinfoil hat types supporting you, so I'm sure you're very proud.
Well,
because let's stand
why
up.
are they tinfoil hat types?
Let's all stand up for Russia.
Why are they
because they're all people who hate Britain. They're all people who hate America.
I don't hate Britain.
And they want Russia to be a successful nation. And they are very much against anything that Britain and America does in the Middle East and Turkey and anywhere else.
Well, I don't hate Britain. I love it. I don't hate America. I love it. I find this demonising of Russia just because they used to be a communist country absurd. When they're a communist country, I dislike them intensely. In many ways, I wish the wall and the Iron Curtain the wall had never come down, the curtain had been lifted. But as Russia are no longer a communist country, welcome to the free world.
Oh, I see. OK, fine. Well, Ben says this. He's stating his support for a political leader, and that equals a political statement, which I think is about as straightforward as you can get.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't see it that way. I don't read it that way.
He's a politician. He's
I think
a
you've all
political
been
leader.
brainwashed. You've all been brainwashed into the curtailing of free speech in this world. There's a lot of it going on, and believe me, you've been brainwashed. A lot of you should stand up and say what you think, and I admire this footballer for doing that.
Here's one from John. Was Porker so raucous in his approval for the USSR when he was working in the USA? You'll never get back in there again.
What do you mean?
No, you probably weren't, were you?
What?
Were you such a great supporter of Russia when you were living in America?
I never supported Russia when I lived in America. When I lived in America, Russia were the arch enemy of America. They were communist. They pursued the Lenin Marxist doctrine of world domination. They're an extremely dangerous, nasty and perverse country, and I hated them. And I was, very, very happy to see the Americans build up their defences in a surefire attempt to protect the Western world against evil, which is what they were in those days.
OK.
They were the
VHP,
evil empire, as President Ronald Reagan once told me.
Oh, right, and that wasn't propaganda then?
Sorry?
That wasn't propaganda.
They were the evil empire.
OK.
They subjugated people. They kept them in prisons
and they don't do that
behind a brick wall and an iron curtain.
And they don't do that now?
No, they don't do that now.
Really? OK. VHP says, Porky's wrong here. The guy made a political statement praising Putin. Stop ranting like a nutter, mate. Then he says, vote MG, vote often.
Is it a political statement to call your leader a polite man?
Yes, it is.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. In that case, freedom of speech has disappeared forever.
No, it hasn't. You've just been shown yourself to be incapable of delineating between a political leader and a country. And that's where you've got it wrong. Anyway, that's enough for you on this Porksky front, because people are going to get bored to death with your slavish love.
We should be talking about
Russia.
Wayne Rooney's foot, by the way.
We should be talking about Wayne Rooney's knee,
Wayne Rooney's knee, even.
And we should be talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and we should be talking about a great many other things
Julian
as well.
Lescott.
And we will be. We're going to be talking to Tommy Smith coming up from ESPN
Tommy.
in a little while. And also, we've got a dog expert coming on to tell us whether actually your theories about dogs reading and flying planes could actually come true.
Yeah, excellent.
This is Talk Sport.
Tonight from 6, it's a Europa League double, live on Talk Sport. Join Danny Kelly and the team for a Europa League kick-off special. Hear uninterrupted full match commentary of FC Midtjylland versus Manchester United.
That is a world-class finish.
Followed by Augsburg versus Liverpool.
What a goal!
Europa League football, live on Talk Sport.
With Arnold Clark. It's about affordable motoring. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Employers across the UK, however small the business, will soon have to offer a workplace pension. Don't ignore the workplace pension. It's the law. Visit workplacepensions.gov.uk.
Time to listen in and listen up to a whole new round of Sounds Fantastic. What do you make of this sound, listeners? That was, of course, a pair of mountain goats munching on a stash of used banknotes hidden inside a glockenspiel. Now, how about this sound?
Go compare.
Aha! Well, if you're looking for a loan, that's the sound of one fantastic website where you can check out a whole bunch of options.
Subject to status and lending criteria.
To get yourself the right deal.
From loans to plastic, they're quite fantastic. Nothing quite compares to Go Compare.
Sounds fantastic.
Get a generous helping of the latest odds and tasty tips with Paddy's Punts every weekday afternoon from 4 on Drive with Durham and Goffey on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome. With the form on the football,
what a game.
The going on the GGs,
and they're off.
The crack on the cricket,
6,
and lashings of Paddy's famous generosity.
Come on, gives a break. It's only a bit of crack, isn't it?
Get your tips while they're hot with Paddy's Punts. Weekday afternoons from 4 with Adrian Durham and Darren Goff on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome.
Drake, I believe it is.
It is, Sir Francis Drake.
The independent quizmaster.
One of the greatest ever Englishmen.
Are working very, very hard on that at the moment.
Yeah.
How much do you know about leap years, by the way?
Leap years?
Yeah.
It is a leap year this year.
It is a leap year,
So
yes.
it's 29 days in this month now.
That's correct.
Yeah, OK. And as it's the 18th today, 18 plus 7 is 25. So 25 will be next Thursday. So 26, 27, 28.
Why are you going around the houses with this?
Because the extra day is a Monday.
Is it?
It's a week next Monday.
Why don't you just look up a calendar?
Yeah, well, I don't like to do it the easy way. I prefer to exercise my brain.
How's your diary going, by the way?
Diary's good.
Yeah?
Diary's good.
Did you give yourself points today? How many did you get?
I've got about between a 7 and 8 today.
7 and 8?
Yeah, the diary is reflecting what I would call a proficient performance from myself at the moment.
Oh, well done.
Seriously.
Right. Now, so what can you tell me about leap years then?
What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know why leap years happen.
Because you have to correct the way that the Earth spins around once every 4 years.
Right.
Otherwise, the Christian calendar would have to be reverted 11 days a century.
11 days?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Something to do with the atomic clock, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
The only reason I'm asking you is because I
Yeah.
found a rather interesting piece here about what exactly leap years are for and exactly when they came into view. You know?
Yeah, of course, we're all obsessed by this, obviously.
Well, I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, really, yeah.
You don't think it's interesting?
What is the most interesting fact that you found out?
Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah, I would, really. Yeah, I'd like you to bore the audience to death for a few minutes. Yeah, thank you.
Well, science is very interesting to people, and they like
It's certainly
statistics,
interesting
right?
to you, because you've got nothing else to talk about. Yeah,
Right.
go on.
Well, for example, February lost out to the ego of Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus.
Wow.
Right? Because under his predecessor, Julius Caesar, February had 30 days, and the month named after him, July, had 31.
Ah, right. Okay.
August had only 29 days.
Yeah.
But when Caesar Augustus became emperor, he added 2 days to his month to make August the same as July.
I see.
So that was why February was the one that actually lost the day.
So it was all to do with egos.
It was all to do with egos.
I see, yeah.
So
okay.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I do
because
appreciate
the sort of
that.
thing
Thank
you would
yeah.
do.
Well, as a scholar of the Roman way of life and
Yeah.
Roman civilization, it doesn't come as a great surprise to me.
No, exactly
Listen,
right.
do you think on the Rooney situation,
Yes.
do you think that Roy
Hodgson,
yeah, can use now the Rooney injury as a way of saying, well, I didn't want to risk him, and therefore completely restruck the way he's going to build his England team
I don't think he wants
around
to.
Harry Kane or Jamie Vardy?
See, I don't think he wants to, but I think he may well be forced to. I think one of the reasons this might be, and you certainly don't wish any ill will towards Wayne Rooney because it's terrible for him to be injured.
That's
However,
right.
I do wonder, with all these stories on the back pages about how brave he was to carry on playing. I mean, why didn't Van Gaal pull him off? The idea that he lets him play on when he's injured seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Now he may not have known he was injured, but the bottom line is he's supposed to know his players better than anybody, and he shouldn't have allowed Wayne Rooney to continue to play for the whole game against Sunderland if there was a problem.
I don't think Wayne Rooney told him he was injured, did he?
Well, surely he must know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a professional football manager. I mean, if you're watching your players play, surely there must be some way of detecting whether or not he's actually playing with
I don't
playing
think so.
hurt.
If you've got a twinge in your knee, it doesn't mean that you run differently or anything like that. It means you've got a twinge in your knee. It doesn't mean that. I mean, when I had a medial knee ligament problem,
he's got damaged ligaments.
I had crutches.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'd soon notice if
Well, if he was on the pitch with crutches, I think you would notice that. No, but I think one of the problems that has happened over the years, especially since Hodgson's been in charge and before, is that everybody's insisted that Wayne Rooney plays. Now he may have to rethink that, but I don't think he wants to rethink it. But I think he'll have to.
Oh, I think you see, I think one of Mr. Hodgson's problems is lack of decisive action, which is radical action to change things when they're going wrong. Yeah. He seems incapable of doing that to me. He seems to go with the flow and does not have the confidence in himself, in my view, to say, look, this isn't working. I'm going to start with a clean white sheet of paper and start all over again. I don't think he can do that. Now, I think that he could be forced to do it now on the basis that whenever Wayne Rooney's been injured prior to a tournament before, and I've been to both the tournaments where he was injured before, that were Germany and South Africa.
Right.
He's never the right player in the tournament. He's had shocking.
He's never had a decent tournament.
He's never had a decent. Well, apart from the first one when he was injured during the tournament in Portugal. But what I'm saying is, this now could be a fantastic opportunity for Roy Hodgson to say, I didn't want to risk Rooney because of the history of the boy coming back into tournaments after being injured has not boded well for England.
No.
And he can just use that. And everybody would say, OK, you're the England manager. If you say that's the way it's got to be, it's got to be.
No, I think the point is as well that an awful lot of England fans have been asking for Wayne Rooney not to be quite such a mainstay of the team for quite a long time for those very reasons. And yet Roy Hodgson has never really been able to do that. He's never been able to kind of let go. It's always like a security blanket for him. I mean, you saw him when he was on Match of the Day on the weekend. I mean, he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be prompted. He doesn't want to be pushed into saying that he's willing to bring in new players.
No,
he just wants to keep playing with the old players.
He wore a tie, by the way. I thought he looked rather scruffy. In a suit and a shirt, no tie.
Well, I told you I thought his shirt, the inside of his shirt, looked a bit
that's
weird.
right. Yeah,
it had a strange kind of lining.
But funnily enough, I was looking at a bit of Match of the Day today. I wanted to see one particular goal which I'd missed. I can't remember which one it was now. I'm trying to remember. Can't remember now. But anyway, point of my story is that if you're going to wear an open neck shirt, don't wear a jacket and go casual. Wear a pair of chinos. Yeah. But to wear it, I just couldn't work out why I didn't have a tie on. Because
nobody wears ties anymore, do they?
patrician gentlemen like Roy Hodgson do wear ties.
He obviously doesn't see himself. He obviously doesn't see himself as a patrician gentleman.
Well, he does. He does, I think.
Or, I don't think so.
If he doesn't,
I think he's quite vain.
If he doesn't, he certainly is.
I think he's quite vain.
Incidentally, could you wear a tie, please, on Saturday?
Why?
You'll be going in the boardroom after the game.
I have to wear a tie?
Yes, please. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
God.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the last time you told me to wear a tie to a football match, nobody else was wearing one.
Where was that?
I can't remember.
Well, then again, you see, you probably got so bladderated you couldn't remember where we were.
No, but I remember taking the tie off because nobody else in the room was wearing a tie.
Oh, no, the last one we went to, I think, was with our friend John in at Tottenham, wasn't it?
No, it wouldn't have been that one, no, because I don't wear a tie today. It must have been Crystal Palace or something.
Must have been Palace. Well, you don't have to wear a tie to Palace. We don't go in the boardroom there. We go into, what's that restaurant called? Same name as the goalkeeper.
Same name as the goalkeeper, yeah. It's an Italian name, isn't it?
Yeah. What is it?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
No.
Don't know why I take to these places. Now, the situation is, of course, that nobody will know the extent of Wayne Rooney's injury, but do you remember...
He's out for 6 weeks, though, minimum.
Well, you see, 6 weeks minimum from now is...
It takes you to the end of March, basically.
Well, it takes you beyond that. 2 weeks, yes, there's 2 weeks left in February.
Yeah, so then it takes you to the end of March.
4 weeks in March, that's April. But I mean, allow...
Well, don't you just admit that I'm right?
Excuse me, allow for another week, right?
Yeah.
And then he starts playing again.
In 6 weeks, it will be the 30th of March.
There you go.
Okay.
So he starts playing again and gets back up to speed at the end of April.
Yeah.
Could take 3 or 4 games for a player of his quality to get back up to speed.
Yeah.
You're then... only 6 weeks away from the tournament.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He may not... he certainly won't be match fit, will he?
Don't think so. Don't think so.
And by that stage as well, Manchester United will know, presumably, whether they are absolutely and utterly no chance of getting into the top 4.
Oh, well,
because,
they haven't got any
Wayne Rooney, to be fair to him, is the only guy who's been scoring any goals for him, really, isn't he?
Yeah, you see this headline in one of tomorrow morning's papers... too brave for his own good.
I think that's ridiculous.
Wayne Rooney will be out for up to 2 months. Up to 2 months, you see. David McConnell is saying he's over in Denmark with the United team.
Yeah.
After playing on with a knee injury at the weekend, the Manchester United skipper suffered ligament damage during the 2-1 defeat at Sunderland. He played the full 90 minutes. United boss Louis van Gaal said that's typical of Wayne. He should be saying this is a disaster and it should never have been allowed to happen.
Right. Exactly, because
Goodness
what I'm
gracious.
saying, he should have played some part in making sure that he was not exacerbating an injury.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, it doesn't say whether he had the injury in the first half or the second half.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he does suggest that it was 1-1 and Wayne wants to carry on playing and he wants to win the match and all of that.
I totally
But
agree.
he must have. I mean, these guys are trained presumably to watch any player as he gets an injury. That's the thing that's most ridiculous to me.
I mean, saying that's fantastic attitude, but sometimes it's also bad for his body. No, you should have said that the other way around, Louis. What you should have said was, it's bad for your body to play on your broken knee.
Yeah. It's a broken knee. Yeah, that's what he's got, though.
Yeah.
Have you seen up at Manchester United, by the way, according to the back page of one of the papers, they're selling a T-shirt which is sort of mocking Louis van Gaal.
I know, I've seen that.
Duty to entertain.
I know, it's ridiculous. And that comes from Adidas, with whom they've got an official...
Yeah. Mind you, they've already criticised the way they play, haven't they?
They have,
yeah. Shall I tell you some more stuff about leap year?
No, I don't really want to know.
I've got a really interesting fact here for you.
Well, go on then.
In Denmark, this is.
In Denmark,
where a man turns down, where Manchester United are playing football tonight, FC Midtjylland.
Yes, Midtjylland.
If a man turns down a proposal on February the 29th, they must give a woman 12 pairs of gloves.
Oh, really?
Isn't that weird?
And what is the basis behind this?
Well, I don't know. In Finland, the penalty you have to give a woman if you turn down her marriage proposal is fabric for a skirt.
They sound a bit medieval to me, those sort of customs.
Well, it's all
you know what I mean?
medieval,
I don't think that's something that... I don't think it would be men queuing up to buy pairs of gloves in Copenhagen.
No, I don't think so.
Wonderful Copenhagen. Now, what I was going to say is that have we got the true meaning of this story? Wayne Rooney is the spirit of Manchester United at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, OK, some people have questioned his form this season, although he's had a recent burst of very good form, OK? But nobody's questioned his leadership ability or the role he plays as captain. You know what I mean?
I think they've got a new man on the horizon for all of that, though, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Can you imagine if he came to play for Manchester United? He would be the new Cantona for them, I think. I think he'd be brilliant.
I think that's actually quite a good analogy to say that he would come in like a breath of fresh air.
He would
revolutionise the attitude that they have to the game.
Yeah, and he's such a character. I mean, he might not be a captain material because he's a bit too much of an egomaniac. However, but he would be exactly like Cantona, wouldn't he? Can you imagine him just standing there, sort of getting all the admiration from the crowd and scoring some amazing goals? I think it'd be terrific.
Yes.
And then Rooney would be once more eclipsed.
Well, you say that, but I mean, somebody told me that they understand that the Rooney situation is that he is looking at the Bobby Charlton goal-scoring record for Manchester United.
Yes.
I think he's still got a few to go, hasn't he?
He has got a few to go.
I think
Alan Brazil's been saying this, hasn't he? That basically he's going to move on
and then
go to China.
Then he will. You know, his people will try and put together a mega deal for him, perhaps in the new world, so to speak, of football, which will be one massive great payday before he resigns. I mean, he's won everything, right? Internationally, of course, he's done nothing because England have done nothing.
Well, so he hasn't won everything then, has he?
Well, at club level, he's got a Champions League medal. He's got 6 Premier League titles.
Yeah.
He's got League Cup medals. He's never, funnily enough, won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Manchester United were rampaging through English football for most of his career there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How interesting. Well, we're going to talk to Tommy Smith coming up, who thinks that after this injury, you won't see Wayne Rooney back at Manchester United after the end of this season.
Is that right?
So we'll find out why he thinks that. This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Bring it on.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and of course, we've got loads coming up. Porkyvision night tonight. We'll be talking to a dog expert in the next hour. Right now, though, it's time to talk some more about Wayne Rooney. Tommy Smith is here from ESPN. We're going to look ahead to some of the Europa League action live on Talk Sport. We've got FC Midtjylland against Man United and FC Augsburg against Liverpool. Both live commentaries tonight. Tommy, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. We've just been arguing about Wayne Rooney and what the injury's all about. But I saw one of your tweets a bit earlier on tonight saying that you don't think after this injury Wayne Rooney will be back to play for Manchester United next season.
Well, I say it'd definitely be in doubt. I mean, the report that we got was that he was out for 2 months, and he's not going to. It's going to take him at least a month to come back. So that's 3 months. And if you do the math, the season is over as far as I'm concerned. And, I mean, the kind of a season that Rooney had this year, is he worth the kind of money they're paying? Will they take him back? I mean, there's already rumours going around that he might be looking for a change someplace else. I mean, he hasn't been the contributing factor to Manchester United that he has been for many years.
Well, it's such a poor Manchester United team now that I think Rooney is suffering in trying to hold the whole thing together. I think he's got an emotional responsibility as captain as well as a playing responsibility, and all that's weighed down on him. And I totally agree with you there, Tommy. And also, isn't it true to say that when the new manager comes in, and we'll expect that to be Jose Mourinho, he's got to start all over again, hasn't he? He can't come in with his handcuffs on. The handcuffs say Wayne Rooney's got to be part of your plans for the future.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, especially if it's Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
I mean, he is not going to accept any terms coming in. He's going to come in on his terms, and he's going to decide who stays and who goes, or who plays and who doesn't play. I mean, I know Rooney has a contract, so, I mean, Manchester United really can't let go of him unless Rooney's in agreement with it.
Well, I think he will be in agreement with it. I think he'll see the woods burning. I think he'll realise that, whichever new boss comes in is not going to guarantee any Manchester United player a starting place. And if Jose Mourinho finds a way to make Manchester United play, and it doesn't involve Wayne Rooney, you're absolutely right. That's curtains for Rooney. I think he'll see that coming. I think he's managed well by people who know that he still has a value in world football, probably in China or maybe even America. And, yeah, I think you're right. I think he'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the logical, but then again, in football, when did logic ever come into it?
Yeah, well, that's true. But if if you're saying 2 months and then plus another one maybe for sort of getting back to match fitness, that pretty much scuppers him for the Euros as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it would give him a month to get ready for the Euros, basically. And can you get ready for an international competition in a month? I mean, if you listen to all these managers over the years, well, then they're making a liar of themselves because they're always telling you, I'll never pick a player unless he's playing top division football and he's ready to play. I mean, if you're coming back from rehab and you only have a couple of weeks to get ready, I mean, how can Hodgson say, okay, he has to be my captain, he has to be on my side? I mean, you got a lot of big questions now. I mean, it's not like England don't have guys who can put the ball in the back of the net now. I mean, they've uncovered a few. Harry Kane, Vardy. You can go down the line. There's a few guys now around who can threaten Wayne Rooney's position, which hasn't happened in the last 4 or 5 years. But now there are those players around.
But the question is whether Roy Hodgson's got the sort of the cojones to grasp the nettle.
Well, I think he uses it as an excuse.
And just take the view that Rooney's not any longer going to be able to do the business.
No,
and for England, he never has anyway.
Yeah, Tommy, I think that Roy Hodgson now has got a perfect opportunity to say, well, I had no option but to have to, dispel Wayne Rooney from my plans because he wasn't fit. And he just slides in Harry Kane or Jamie Vardy. They play as the main man through the middle. And you've got a new-look England team. And Wayne Rooney will probably never get back into that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a ready-made excuse for the manager, isn't it?
Of course it is.
I mean, there's nothing I could do about it. He can't come out of it looking bad. I mean, if Wayne Rooney was healthy going into the Euros and he didn't play him and something went wrong, then everybody would be on his back. Oh, you should have played Rooney. Now he doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Well, coming up tonight, we'll see whether Manchester United are better without him because they're going to play FC Midtjylland, which shouldn't be a difficult game for him, but I don't think I've met anyone yet who's predicting Man United win.
No, I mean, there is no such thing as not a difficult game for Manchester United. Just look at last weekend and you get an example of what it looks like. And, I mean, I'm sure they should win. I mean, if we were talking about Manchester United as the club Manchester United, you'd be saying, hey, this is very easy. Nothing's easy for this club. But I have a feeling that they'll get a good result.
And what about Spurs? Because one injury that nobody's talking about is Hugo Lloris. He's out for a couple of games, I think, and maybe a little bit longer, which could hurt their chances of, or their hopes anyway, of winning the Premier League this year, couldn't it?
Yeah, it certainly could, but I mean, the Spurs have kind of snuck up on everybody. I mean, they've been flying under the radar for a while, and of course everybody is saying now, well, they'll do the usual thing that Spurs does just at the end of the season. They're going to fall apart. Hey, maybe this year, if you talk to people who seem to be in the know about these things, that feel that there's a whole lot more backbone to this team, and this is a different team to contend with.
Yes.
Yeah, the keeper's a problem. I mean, it surely is a problem. I mean, we've seen a few clubs around England have problems with keepers, including Liverpool, but we know how big a problem keepers can be. And this could turn out to be a huge problem for them. But, I mean, how can we ignore such a great story? I mean, isn't Leicester the story of the century, not just this year?
Yes.
Well, it is, but, I mean, in a way, it won't be the story of the century unless they win it. You know, if they don't win it, I don't think it's such a great story.
No,
I know
I totally
lots of
agree.
Leicester fans have already said, it'd be great if we finish in the top four. Yeah. But if they actually now don't win it, I think it will be a bit of a tragedy, actually.
Well, if you said that to me last September, I would be running to get guys with a white coat to take you away.
Well, they're never far away from these.
Don't win the Premier League.
The men in the white coats are never far away from here, Tommy. I can assure you.
No, that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, we're going to look
Tommy,
ahead to some more Europa League action coming up. Tommy, thanks very much indeed.
Yeah.
How about this from Ant? He says, Rooney should be finished at United. His pace is gone. His touch is woeful. He only scores in spurts, and he isn't even a patch on Martial.
Well, I'm not going to argue that. I've admired Rooney all his life. He's had a fantastic attitude.
Maybe you could do a final chapter, and reissue your book.
But maybe, yeah, with Rooney Tunes.
And you could actually call it The Final Chapter.
Maybe I could, maybe I could.
Oh, you could have that one for free.
Sorry?
You can have that one for free.
What?
The Final Chapter.
No, I wouldn't call it The Final Chapter.
Why not?
It's stupid.
I think it's a great title.
No, it's not. It's not. How do you know that Wayne Rooney won't do something extraordinary?
Because it is the final chapter. Whatever he does next is the final chapter.
Do you ever see Rooney as a coach or a manager?
No.
Why?
No, I just don't see it.
You're going to say you don't think he's got the intelligence to do
I'm
it,
not going to say that
yes,
at all.
You are.
No.
Yes,
no.
you're going to say that.
Well, why are you predicting what I'm going to say?
Because I know...
And then when I tell you that's not what I'm going to say.
Because you have an intellectual arrogance. You think you're brighter than most people on Earth.
That's not true. No, you project that onto me.
No, it's very
you
true.
think I'm brighter than you, so you constantly keep reminding yourself that I am.
No.
You do. You've got some kind of inferiority complex when you sit next to me.
Are you mad?
Yeah, well, I'm not mad. It's very obvious.
How could I have an inferiority complex
I mean, I do not in any way.
Dumb cough, eh?
I do not in any way try to make out that I'm more intelligent than anybody else.
Anyway, on levels of intelligence, do you think it's very intelligent for Jolie Lescott to say, all right, I'll see you on the training ground, pal?
Yeah, bring your own Mercedes C63.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He is a bit of a plank, isn't he?
He snapped back on his J.P. Lescott Instagram account to a guy called... Well, I think it's Howard. It's
Howard. Why is that important?
Howard98. Well, this is the guy who's the potential victim.
Oh,
right?
How is he a victim?
Well, it says, I'm at the training ground tomorrow, please. And then I have to turn the page, I'm sorry, because this is...
well, why don't you get that ready so that you'd have it folded over?
No, hang on.
This is hopeless.
Yeah. Please, 3 pleases.
Yeah.
Come down and try. Fact, you won't. And that was in reply to old
Come
Howard.
down and try what? So what did Howard say?
This is what I'm trying to find out.
I think you're reading this story in the wrong order.
No. He says he hit back at his online critics by daring one to meet him at Aston Villa's Bodymore Heath training ground.
Yeah.
Villa defender and his teammate at the Premier League's bottom club.
Yeah. But what did Howard say to him?
Well, I'm just telling you, Lescott lost his cool after an aggressive personal online slur. It doesn't say what the slur was.
So he was responding to somebody giving him some jip then.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's fair enough saying that.
The Defender 33 added on Instagram, that tweet got more press than our performance. Oh dear, this is terrible. He's talking about one of our colleagues.
Is he?
He's called Stan Collymore a div.
Has he?
Yes.
How extraordinary.
Yeah. He says, that div Stan Collymore getting involved like he never made a mistake. He's a complete fool. I mean, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
That is a bit harsh, yeah.
God, I don't think Stan will be taking too much of that.
No, I don't think so. I'm sure he'll retaliate in some way. But
Yes.
I mean, in a way, Lescott's wrong to respond to these people. He's wrong to take the bait. He's wrong to do all of those things. But in a way, sometimes, as we all know on Twitter, you can get to the point where you just get a bit fed up with some of these
course you do.
planks who keep having a go at you for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Still, I think he's in the wrong. This is Talk Sport. We've got lots more football to talk about, but lots of other stuff as well. This is Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hobos.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk about whether dogs can fly planes and indeed whether they can read, as we were discussing earlier.
And why are people dying at a faster rate than they have been for the last 30 years?
Really? Well, the mortality rate's going up, is it?
And why is the Church of England abandoning poor people?
Why?
Why?
Yeah, well, that's a very good
Well,
question.
we need to find out. Didn't they say...
You're a good Christian. You should know the answers to all these questions.
Didn't somebody once say that there is more chance of a camel being passed through the eye of a needle than a rich man entering the gates of heaven?
The kingdom of heaven,
The kingdom of heaven.
I believe that's right.
Yeah, you see, you've got to watch it.
Yeah, well, that wasn't true, was it?
Why?
Because there's obviously plenty of rich people who enter the kingdom of heaven, if
Well-
there is such a place.
Well, you're supposed to...
I mean, in which case, you would then have to dispose of all your wealth, wouldn't you, before you got to the afterlife where you want to be?
Don't worry, I've got plans for all that.
Have you?
Yeah.
You leave it to me?
No, definitely not. You would waste it.
Here's one from Woodenhead. My sister used to say that, you know.
What?
She used to say that to me.
What?
That she wrote a will, right, and she left all everything she's got.
Yeah.
She's left to my children.
Right.
And I said, why don't you leave some of it to me?
Yeah.
And she said, because you'd waste it.
Of course you would, yeah.
That's
We'll know
a
that.
shocking thing to say.
No, it's not just me. It's
Shocking.
a general perception of the wastrel lifestyle you have.
Define waste.
£75 bottles of champagne.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
You know, for a pointless mid-afternoon exercising, drinking, you know, at the most expensive
enjoying
bars in
myself.
London.
Enjoying myself.
Yeah, well, you see...
Excuse me, you're the one that paid
that's not
250 quid for 4 bottles of wine.
Oh, but I didn't mean to.
You didn't mean to?
No, that's by mistake. That was by mistake. £20 a glass.
How about
That's
this from
not good.
Woodenhead? Woodenhead says, maybe Porky can make a Wayne Rooney movie that is 95% about how Rooney saved his life and 5% about Wayne Rooney.
That's not a bad idea. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah. You can have that one for free as well.
OK.
Loads more to come. You can tweet us, of course, at the two mics, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG. We've got lots more to come. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. We are in February, of course, which is a leap year. I've got a text here from Mark, who sent this into 81089. He says, February 29th was traditionally the only day of the year when a woman could ask a man to marry her.
Yes.
She would propose in a red dress.
Yes.
And this is where the term Scarlet Woman came from.
That's right. Who's that girl in the red dress?
Did you know that?
What?
Did you know that?
I knew that, yeah.
What about the Scarlet Woman
Of course
thing?
I did.
Oh, right.
It came from the Restoration comedy plays, which were written after we got rid of the great, what's her name?
Hey?
You know, Oliver Cromwell.
Oliver Cromwell?
Yeah, what was he called? The Great...
Huh? The Great Protector?
The Great Protector, that was it, yeah definitely, yeah.
Right.
Do you know what expression is attached to Oliver Cromwell?
What? Apart from the Great Protector?
Yeah, warts and all.
Yeah, was that his, was it?
Yeah, it was his.
Was that because of the portrait?
Yeah, he had his portrait done, and because he feared that the portrait painter would be in fear of him, you know, and thought, you know, got to make him look
a bit
good.
of an airbrush scenario.
He actually went and put his face in his and said, warts and all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He had a lot of warts, did he?
He had a lot of warts, yeah.
Did
He
he?
had a warty face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
A couple more facts for you on
War-ridden
leap
face,
leap
actually.
year. In Greece, couples often avoid getting married in a leap year, believing it to be bad luck.
Bad luck to get married in a leap year?
Yeah.
Well, is it? I suppose that, you know, it comes down every 4 years and therefore you could say, you have a 4th anniversary of this, that and the rest.
Well, did you ever know anyone that was born on February 29th? I was at university with somebody who was born on February 29th, and when he was 20, we threw a 4th birthday party for him. Or a 5th birthday party. Yeah, it would have been.
I see what you mean. Yeah, 5 4s are 20.
Yeah. So we've got all these cards with.
No, it would have been a 4th. Would have been a 4th because you don't have a birthday on the day you're born, do you?
Oh yeah, it would have been his 4th birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I can't
4,
remember. But we bought all
8,
these. We bought
12,
all these,
20.
Yeah, we bought all these. Like now you are 4 type badges and things to wear.
Yeah. So and you thought I was all very funny.
You did actually. Yeah.
And then you got completely bladderated and thought you're all so very clever.
Now here's
students,
another. Now here's another bit of food for you. You'll like this one because it's about money, right?
Yeah.
Which is the only thing you care about.
I like
since
money.
You've already declared that you fear poverty more than anything else in the world.
I do. Yeah.
If you work on a fixed annual wage, today is just one more day's work than you would usually have to do for your salary. So you don't actually get paid extra for working on February the 29th. You get extra days' work out of the year.
Yeah, I suppose that's right, really, isn't it? Because, like, for instance, we... no, it doesn't apply to us because the...
Well, no, it doesn't apply to us.
No, because
we're not on a fixed wage.
No, that's right. You're absolutely right in
but
what
if
you're
you're
saying.
on a fixed wage, right, you have to work on that Monday, February 29th. It's an extra day.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
Now, listen, have I told you about the fact that the church now are turning their back on poor people?
You haven't told me that, but it comes as no sort of great surprise.
Because you just talked there about wealth and boredom.
Yeah.
Poverty. Poverty, yeah. The Church of England is dying very quickly on council estates, right?
Right.
I didn't know we still had council estates. I thought they were social housing developments.
No, of course we still have council estates.
Do we?
Yeah, of course we do.
I thought we didn't call them council estates because that's a derogatory term.
Well, no, we still call them. Well, I still call them council estates.
Do you? OK. Right, the Church of England is dying very quickly on council estates because it is biased towards the middle class.
Yeah.
According to a bishop who said the church invested more than 4 times more per head in affluent rural areas.
Well, that's probably because more likelihood of people going to church in those neighbourhoods than there is in what we might call council estates.
And there's more likelihood of people putting their hands in their pockets to put money into the collecting plate.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it called a collecting plate?
Well, it can be called that.
What is it called?
A collection plate.
Collection plate. That's right. Yeah, because they got more money because these poor people on the council estates are all poverty-stricken.
Well, what's it like where you go to church?
I go to church in a very affluent area, actually.
Which one?
Ulverstoke.
Oh, yeah.
And that's near
Gosport. I thought you went in Gosport.
Yeah, well, it's near Gosport.
Oh, right. Because Gosport's not an affluent area, is it?
Gosport is...
it's not.
No, it's a very nice town, Gosport.
It's not an affluent area.
It is an affluent area.
It would not be called that.
If I told you that Gosport have a Tory MP, you wouldn't believe me, would you?
Yeah, I would.
Well, they do.
It doesn't mean it's an affluent area just because you've got a Tory MP.
It usually means... it is, because Tory MPs are usually connected to shire counties and more affluent areas.
Gosport is an inner city kind of...
No, it's not.
Blight on Portsmouth, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Don't be ridiculous.
That's the way people describe it to me.
It's a different town, man. It's on the other side of Portsmouth Harbour.
But it's not as nice as Portsmouth, and Portsmouth isn't great. Let's put it that way.
Excuse me, I think Portsmouth's a fine town.
I've been to
The
Portsmouth.
world's
we did a
leading
show
naval
there.
headquarters.
We did a show in Portsmouth. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, we stood outside the Portsmouth Guildhall, did we not?
Yes, we
at
did.
about 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And saw some pretty amazing sights.
Well,
I think you'll find.
it was like any town in this country at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night.
No, it wasn't.
Young
No, it was
ladies
much
in very
worse.
short skirts and long
I
legs
thought it was
falling
worse.
around
No,
on the
I thought it was
pavements.
worse than Cardiff.
Quite disgraceful, and but I'm afraid that happens. But that's a social issue. That's not to do with the town.
Really?
That's to do with years and years of politicians
I see.
Showing liberal attitudes towards personal behaviour, which I think is a disgrace.
Is that right?
Anyway, let me go on here.
Go on then.
It says, the Right Reverend Philip North, the Bishop of Burnley. Now, if you're going to be a bishop, you should really be the Bishop of York, shouldn't you?
Yes, or Bath and Wells.
Or Bath and Wells, or Chester.
Yeah.
Or, somewhere significant. Liverpool, yeah, they've got fantastic Anglican cathedral.
Yeah.
To be the Bishop of Burnley is a bit like... No, it's a bit
I
like...
think you're being a bit disingenuous here.
it's a bit like being the manager of Macclesfield,
What's wrong
really,
with
isn't
Burnley?
it? No, there's nothing wrong with Burnley at
I don't
all.
think I've actually ever been to Burnley.
I have.
You would have seen a football match.
Yeah,
there,
I've seen football matches at Burnley.
Yeah.
Nice little stadium, painted claret and blue, of course.
Nice little stadium.
Yes, yeah.
That's
yeah.
very condescending.
No, it's not. And Sean Dyche is their manager, and he's, good fiery out... Dyche?
Sean Dyche.
Dyche, and a good outspoken man. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
Sean Dyche.
When you listen to him, you think you're listening to somebody who's got a point of view that is debatable.
Excuse me, that's got my throat in.
I know.
Now then,
I don't know why you could. I don't know if he could speak at all the way he speaks.
Now then, so the Right Rev Philip North.
Yeah.
Bishop of Burnley.
Yes.
So as I say, that's it is. It's like being president of Outer Mongolia, isn't it? Really. But anyway, I'm not being rude to Burnley.
Or indeed out of Mongolia. They might take offence.
That's right, yeah. Said that vicars working in underfunded estate churches felt isolated, lonely and forgotten.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
he says,
sad for them.
The church on our outer estates is dying, and it's dying very quickly. The conclusion is an obvious one. We are all leaders of a church that has taken a preferential option for the rich. Well, everybody takes a preferential option for the rich.
Well, the reason
because the rich have got more money than the poor.
But also the reason the church is losing touch with all sorts of people all over the country is because nobody, believes in some of the claptrap they come out with, and everybody knows that if you go to a church, the one thing they'll be after is your money.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And that's why people don't go.
But I think the Bishop of Burnley, Right Reverend Philip Moore, is kind of a bit naive, because he goes on to say, the battle for the Christian soul of this nation will not be won and lost in Kensington or Cobham or Harrogate. He says it's out on the estates where life is hard and where church life is fading fast.
Well, what's he moaning about then? If his life is meant to be hard, then it should be hard for him as well. You know.
He said the church boasts on its website that it was present in every community, but he told the Synod, this is the Church of England Synod, this is not true. The church is not present in every community, and the places where we are least present are the poorest, the outer estates of our towns and cities.
Yeah, but that's where he's meant to be doing his best work, isn't it? I mean, that's the idea of being like a missionary and all that.
Do you know what I'd say in reply to the Bishop of Burnley?
Yeah.
The reason why you're not
Get a
reaching
grip,
out,
I think, would you say?
Yeah, the reason why you're not reaching out, mate, into the council estates is that, sadly, it's a reflection on society that's where a lot of the scumbags live. Well, I'm afraid it's true. That's just a reflection on society. I'm not being rude to people who live in council estates, but
not.
You know, scumbags don't live in Kensington.
Yeah, they do.
No, not really. They don't.
By the way, I've got news for you. There are council estates in Kensington.
Oh, I know there are, but they usually sell their council houses for about £2.5 million.
Yeah.
You know, which is a bit different to selling your council house in Burnley.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get £2.5 million for a council
Probably
house
not.
in Burnley.
You wouldn't get £2.5 million for anything in Burnley.
You wouldn't get
Apart from
£2.5
the football team.
Wouldn't get £2.5 for a council house in Burnley. Actually, I'm not being rude to Burnley, by the way.
I think you are.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that what the Bishop of Burnley has to understand is that the reason that the church is not making inroads into the communities on these sad council estates which he talks about.
Well, they're not all sad, though. I think you're being slightly broad-brushed-like.
There are huge social problems on some what they call sink council estates in this country.
Yeah.
And the last thing that people who live on sink estates are worrying about is going to church on Sunday morning. They're more worried about getting another cheap bottle of snake bite to... What's your problem?
Don't you think you're being slightly kind of generalising here?
No. I mean,
I don't think everybody wanders about on council estates, completely bladderated, drinking, a mixture of homebrew, pochine and, snake bite.
I'm not saying they do.
But I know they sell that in bottles, by the way. I think you have to make it snake bite, don't you? Isn't it cider and Guinness or something?
I don't know. Well, maybe they make it in sheds in the bottom of the garden or something like that. But you see, I know a lot about these sink council estates. I have a lot of experience of them. Because when I was a reporter on the Chester Chronicle, the worst fear was having to go and knock on a door on the Leitch or Blacon.
Oh, yeah.
And, some terrible thing had happened and you had to go and find witnesses and all that kind of stuff. Because normally the people there were out of their head and they hit you with a spade or something, you know what I mean? So it was a dangerous old business in those days.
It's obviously had some kind of major effect on you as well.
When I worked on the Evening Chronicle, Mike, the very worst instruction was from the news desk was to go and talk to somebody on the Biker Wall.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, I've seen reporters go onto that estate who've never come back.
Deary me. All right, well, let me finish up with this from Woodenhead. He said, my girlfriend's from Gosport, and he uses a word I can't say. He says, it's horrible. It's full of down and outs, even worse than Portsmouth.
That's ridiculous.
There you go.
That's a ridiculous generalised statement. Gosport's a lovely place. It's a smashing little town. It's got fantastic history, and it spreads along the coast to a lovely place called Stokes Bay, and beyond that, Leon Solent. It's marvellous, marvellous.
Okay.
I love living there.
Yeah, good. This is Talk Sport.
Two TalkSport teams are about to go big as they take on the Heinz Big Soup Challenge on TalkSport. Listen to Colin Murray next Tuesday from 10 as the two intrepid teams feel the pressure when they test their power and penalty prowess in a spot kick football showdown. Don't miss the Heinz Big Soup Challenge every Tuesday on the Colin Murray Show on TalkSport with Heinz Big Soup. Heinz Big Soup. Go big or go hungry. Everyone knows that all the best things come in threes. 3 Amigos, 3 Stooges, 3 Lions. And right now, if you sign up to 888 Sport, you'll get treble odds on your first bet. Play with 888 Sport and harness the power of 3 with treble odds on your first bet. New customers only. Minimum £5 bet to qualify. Maximum £10 bet at treble odds. Bet at normal odds. Extra winnings added as a free bet within 72 hours. Free bets must be used within 7 days and are not included in any returns. See site for full terms and conditions. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
The world of business is full of ups and downs. You think big, start small. A guinea pig, just a stall. You nail it. In the bag, you celebrate. Then there's a snag. It slows, you change tack. A new plan of attack. You start small, you aim high. You're back, home and dry. The Business Essentials tariff from O2 is the only tariff that lets you change your devices, apps and tariffs whenever you need to. Search O2 Business.
For O2 Business customers only. Terms apply.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. It's the breakfast show that's always ready to take on any challenge.
Join me, Alan Brazil, and a different co-host every weekday morning from 6 a.m. as we tackle all the big stories of the day.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. Ruthlessly tested across the harshest terrain on Earth. Find out more at ford.co.uk. Tonight from 6, it's a Europa League double. Full match commentary of FC Midtjylland versus Manchester United, followed by Augsburg versus Liverpool. Europa League football, live on Talk.
And VHP says, Porky, you plank. MG was right. It would be 5 birthdays. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Apparently forgot to mention 16.
4, 8, 12. Yeah, you're right. So was it a 5th birthday party?
It must have been, yeah. Well, that was what I said in the first place.
No, you said
kind of
4.
threw me.
You said 4th.
No, I said 5th.
Well, can't you remember the cards with the number 4 or 5 on them?
It was a very long time ago.
Well, it was a very long time ago. You're very old. But I mean,
it was about 1980.
I'm sure I would have remembered.
No, you wouldn't have. Well, you have got a perfect memory of everything that happened between the years of 1960 and 1985.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, ever since then, you can't remember a thing.
Lots of rubbish.
I'll tell you what, I had a nightmare day today.
Why?
I tried to buy some bulbs.
Bulbs, yeah.
Light bulbs.
Where from?
Well, I had to go to a well-known... Remember I said to you how difficult it is to buy bulbs now.
Yeah.
You claim that you can buy yours in Tesco, right? Well, I can't, because I've got these spotlights that are in the ceiling.
Yeah, but you can buy them in Tesco.
No, you can't.
Well,
they don't sell them anymore.
Oh, well, I haven't bought any recently, but that's where I used to buy them.
Well, no, you can't now, because they've changed the whole rules on light bulbs, thanks to your beloved EU. You know, the rules are that
my beloved EU.
Yeah, your beloved
EU.
You hated it.
Yeah, of course I do.
You've never said that.
I don't have anything to do with the EU.
You've never said that before.
I hate the influence of the continent on this country. You know that, yeah.
I know. You'd rather be part of Russia, wouldn't you?
No, I would not be rather be part. I'd rather be part of independent Great Britain. Anyway, go on.
Okay. Anyway, so they're sort of receding lights, right? So you go into a sort of a hole in the ceiling.
I know, and all that comes down is a long bit of flex.
No, it's not.
And you have to screw them into the cup at the end of the flex.
No, that's not true.
All right. Okay.
No, they don't. They screw in directly into the ceiling.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I went to this popular DIY shop.
Right. What's it called?
Which I'm not going to name at the moment.
What?
Right?
B&Q?
Well, there's no need for me to give the name, is there?
No need. No,
I mean, it was, all right, it was
I,
B&Q, okay?
Right,
it was B&Q.
Right, yeah.
And I went there, and they had all these spotlights, right? But they didn't appear to have anything that was the right size. And I had the old bulb with me. And
right.
This was back in...
Well, what you do is match the top of your bulb with the top of the bulb you want to replace it.
Well, it's not that simple, you see.
Why?
Because I sought advice from one of the old people that they employ in B&Q, because you know they're very good at employing lots of old elderly people.
Do you mean wise people?
No, I mean stupid people, actually, because they gave me the wrong advice.
I think
they gave me the wrong advice.
I think it's a great policy to...
Well, no, they gave me the wrong advice.
Elder and wiser people.
Well, that's fine. But they didn't employ any elder and wiser people in this particular instance, because I went up to this woman and I said, look, I need to replace this bulb here that's in my hand.
Yes.
Is this the right one? Because it looks a bit too big. And she said, oh, no, they're all universal size, so you'll be all right with those.
Right.
So I bought 6 of them, right? Yeah. They weren't cheap. They were like 6. They were in packets of 2.
About £4 each, aren't
they were £3 each. I paid 18 quid, right, for 6 bulbs.
Yeah.
Took them home because I knew that sooner or later I'd need a new one. Anyway, finally, one of the bulbs went, right?
Yes.
So I opened up the bulb.
Oh, so you didn't buy these bulbs this week?
No, I didn't. I bought them
some time ago.
I bought them in December, I think.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure if a light bulb went, I'd have a spare one, right?
Right.
So of course I go to screw it in.
Good future planning.
It is good future planning, isn't it? I go to screw it in, and it's way too big.
Yeah.
It's almost twice the size. It goes in...
I think you must be pretty thick if you couldn't tell a bulb was twice the size of the one you wanted to replace.
No, because it was in a box, right? It was in a box.
Well, you should have opened the box.
No, because you couldn't. It was wrapped in cellophane. You couldn't open it.
Sounds to me like you didn't know what you were doing.
You couldn't open it. So I tried it anyway. The thing is, it's got the right fitting. The fitting is a screw-in fitting. It's the same fitting.
Two little sort of nipples type thing.
It's a bayonet. You're talking about. That's a bayonet fitting. This is a screw-in fitting.
Oh, a screw-in.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's screwed partially in, but as the end of the bulb got near the end of the hole, it couldn't go any further. So it couldn't go far enough up.
Usually speaking, with those screw-in bulbs, the actual bore of the screw bit is too big to even start screwing it in.
Eh?
It's too big to start screwing it in.
No, the screw-in part is the same size. That's the universal size.
Yeah.
You know even less about this than I do.
No, well, I just go...
You told me you replaced all your own light bulbs.
I do, but mine have these two little nipples which you literally push in and then turn to the right.
Well, that's different. That's a different fitting.
Yeah, but you see, you have got the right bulbs. You just don't know... You have, honestly.
No, I haven't. No, they won't go in the hole.
Listen, if you can screw it...
Well, I haven't told you the rest of the story yet.
Part of the way in, go on,
No, you can't, because you can only screw it part of the way in.
Right.
But it doesn't make contact with the bit that's going to make it actually illuminate. You see what I mean?
I see.
Because the end of it's too big. So
what you mean is you don't complete the circuit.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So today I thought I've got a bit of time. I'll go back to B&Q and I'll say, look, I want to exchange these.
Well, hang on. Have you still got the receipt?
Yeah, I had the receipt. Yeah.
Well, you keep the receipt.
I had the receipt
from months ago.
Yeah.
Good God!
I never throw any receipts out.
Mm.
Why would you throw a receipt out?
Well, I don't collect receipts, but anyway,
I wouldn't. To be honest, I wouldn't keep every receipt, but because I had a sense that this might not be right, I kept the receipt.
Right, I see. Yeah, I see.
Quite a good idea.
Trying to make out that you're clever. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I just have a bit of forward planning.
Go on.
Anyway, so I went there, saw the returns queue. So I thought, well, I'm going to go there after I've selected the correct bulb.
Right.
And now they had a completely different set of bulbs there.
Right.
Because when I looked the last time, they did not have the ones that I bought today. Right. The ones that I bought today were not wrapped in cellophane, so you could open up the box, you could take the bulb out, and I could match the two bulbs together, and I could see that they were identical. So this time I thought, well, these are the ones that I want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 6 of these, and I go up to the returns place, and I say, right, I want to exchange these ones that I bought in December for these ones here.
Yeah.
And so she looks at the receipt and went, oh, it was more than 45 days ago that you bought these. And I said, so what? She said, well, I can't give you a refund.
Well, I totally agree with her.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's outrageous. You go around buying these things without properly examining what you want.
I said, well, I don't want a refund.
And then you call it B&Q's fault because you're an idiot and you bought the wrong bulbs.
No, but on their advice, on the advice of one of their elderly wise people.
Well, did you spot the elderly wise person?
No, but I said to the woman, well, I got this on the advice of one of your people here.
Have you got any evidence for that?
And she said, well, it wasn't me.
Exactly.
And I said, well, what's that got to do with me? I said, you're the ones that sold me this stuff, and now I want to exchange it. And she said, oh, well, you want to exchange it? That's okay then. I said, well, I don't want any money. I just want you to exchange it. So she agreed with that. So I handed over the 3 packets of bulbs, and she picked up the third one, which was open, and she said, I can't give you any money for that. And I said, why not? She said, you've opened it.
Yeah.
I said, well, of course I've opened it. How else do I know it doesn't fit?
Yeah, but you see, you didn't pay enough attention when you bought them in the first place. I think she was being very generous.
No, I don't
think
think so.
Back.
Anyway, so I then had to give them an extra £4
for the 3 other bulbs.
For the 6, the new ones that I was buying.
Yes, I see.
Right? So I was quite chuffed with that.
Yes.
Went into the car park. By the way, the car park's full of Romanians.
What do you mean?
In the B&Q car park.
What do you mean?
There's a load of Romanians standing around looking, I think they wait to be picked up to be taken on jobs to do stuff. So
yeah, a van turns up every morning and takes them to some sweatshop.
But every time I go there, there's more and more of them. There's about 50 of them now.
Really? Is it intimidating?
It's not intimidating, but I could see how some people would find it intimidating.
Yes.
Anyway, so I got home and I thought, I was a bit tired by this time, so I thought I'd go back for another nap.
Right.
And when I woke up, I thought, I'll now fix the bulb in. It'll be great. And fixed the bulb in. It fitted exactly.
Yes.
Screwed it all the way in to make the contact, as you call it.
The circuit.
And guess what?
The circuit. Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Didn't come on.
Well, what didn't work?
I don't know. It doesn't work.
What, the bulb doesn't work?
The bulb doesn't work.
The light circuit doesn't work?
That's what I don't know. Now I don't know whether it's the light circuit, whether it's a bulb.
How many bulbs have you got?
I've got 6.
Well, did you replace any of the others?
Eh?
You know the one that went, that you replaced?
Yeah.
Why did you try and replace any of the others with the bulbs you'd bought to see if they work?
What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, if the light bulb that you put in didn't work, there's one or two things wrong. It's either a faulty new bulb, or the circuit is knackered because you've done something wrong and blown it.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is take out one of the other bulbs.
Well, one that's working.
Yes.
Yeah.
And replace it with another one you've bought and find out if that goes on.
Yeah. Well, that could take me all day.
No, it couldn't. It'd take you 5...
No, it doesn't. Well,
2 minutes.
I put the second one in, right?
Well, how else are you going to sort it out, then?
Well, I'm going to have to do that at some point, but I wasn't going to do that today.
Well, I've just suggested that
I don't know why
to
you're
you.
shouting at me
You are
for.
a thickhead, honestly.
I don't know why you're shouting
You
at
go
me.
around buying the wrong bulbs, you screw them, you force them into sockets that they shouldn't be in. You've obviously ruined the socket.
No.
And you've broken the connection.
No, I don't think so.
You are a complete clown, honestly.
No.
I tell you what, don't ever come round to my house and volunteer to put a shelf up in my kitchen.
I would
okay?
never. No, the shelves I don't do.
No.
I would never volunteer to put a shelf up.
Sounds to me like this.
I've never done that in my life.
Sounds to me like you're walking catastrophe.
No, putting in light bulbs is the only putting in light bulbs is the only DIY I do. But somehow something's gone wrong. So I'm hoping that somebody can tell me what on earth has gone wrong.
When I
here.
put my light bulbs in, they work.
Do they?
Yes, they work.
You don't even know where you buy them from.
Oh, I do.
Because the last time you could buy your kind of bulbs from Tesco was about 3 years ago.
Well, I don't buy them anymore anyway. My housekeeper looks after
That's what
all
I mean.
That, so I haven't got a problem
That's
anymore.
what I mean.
Yes.
It's mad of the people. Right,
she's so pleased with the new washing machine.
Is she?
She's delighted, honestly.
I hope it's not one of those ones that's going to go on fire.
Yeah, well, I hope not as well. But it's a Bosch, and the ones that are going on fire are hot points, I think.
Bish Bosch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Coming up, we're going to talk about dogs and whether they can read. This is Talk Sport.
Can I turn you on to some classic drive time radio, ladies?
Drive on with Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
Explosive football opinion on the go.
The Drive Time Show that's as stimulating as a squirt of deep heat down your jockstrap.
Unusual, but certainly not unpleasant.
Foot to the floor football conversation for a nation of hardcore, homeward-bound sports fans.
Drive with Adrian Durham and Darren Goff. This afternoon from 4.
Don't leave work without it.
On Talk Sport.
So I love my dog as much as I love you. You make a fade, my dog will always come through.
When are they going to teach a dog to speak?
All the pay I need comes shining through his eyes. I don't need no cold water to make me realize that I love my dog as much as I love you.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We talked a little bit earlier in the week, Mr. Parry, if you remember, about that incredible story that you discovered of a school up in the north. Oh, it was Bristol, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where they were using a dog in a reading class for kids in primary school.
Well, a head teacher claims that his own dog, and it's a dog that is employed to make pupils in the school feel at home, feel confidence around pets, and to actually have a friend in the classroom. And he shows the dog a sign which says sit, and the dog sits. He shows the dog a sign roll over, the dog rolls over. He shows the dog a sign saying fetch, and the dog does. He's come to the conclusion the dog can read.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did doubt that, but let's talk to Victoria Stillwell, who's
Indeed.
a very, very knowledgeable woman on this subject, host of It's Me or the Dog. Victoria, very good morning to you. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning. It's good to be back.
Now,
great to have you.
there's a couple of stories we're going to ask you about. The first one that Porky's just explained there about the reading dog. I said to him, it's probably more likely that the dog's recognising something in the way the words are written on a piece of paper rather than actually reading the letters. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. They can't. I mean, you can't have a dog that's going to sit down and read a newspaper, really, can you? So, no, they are recognizing. They can recognise the shapes of words, and they can associate the shapes of words with an action, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah, but isn't that reading? If the dog recognises symbols on a piece of paper which instruct him to do something and he does it, surely that's classified as an interpretation of words, therefore he's reading, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I suppose you could say that, but I don't think it's reading in the same way that humans read, in the way that we understand words, in the way that we process words.
Sure, okay.
Because dogs are very good. Dogs are very good at picking up on body language and body and physical signals, and also visual signals as well. So I think that's what's going on there.
Okay, well, let's take that one step on then, Victoria, because, and this is not a joke, I thought it was a joke when I first read it, there is actually a TV show going on in this country in which dogs are being taken into aeroplanes to see whether they can replicate the actions of the pilot sitting next to them in doing things with the controls that would fly the aeroplane. Do you think that is
actually, I'm part of that show, so I know exactly.
Right.
I know exactly what's going on, yeah.
Well, go on, tell us all about it then. Is it Jamie Theakston on it, one of the TV presenters?
Yeah.
Go on, tell us.
I think he's presenting
it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he is. And so what we've done is we went around the country to find 12 of the most intelligent rescue dogs.
Right.
In the UK. And we brought them down to this beautiful manor house in the south of England. And for 10 weeks, took them through all kinds of cognitive games and great challenges to find out if there was one of them that could fly a plane.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you might think, what, fly a plane? You're kidding? That a dog could actually do that? Well, I'm not going to give it away whether the dog actually did it or not, and which dog did do it, if they did or not.
Presumably they'd have to have sort of modified the controls in some way, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, but we just wanted to showcase the fact that these dogs are incredibly intelligent and that you can teach really dogs to do anything and that there should be no boundaries, there should be no limits.
Yeah.
And so the process with which it's taken to do that and the fun way it's done and the humane way it's done, I mean, it makes great television. It's very entertaining. The dogs had a blast. They were so well looked after, and they all found homes at the end of it. So it was a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Victoria, why do you think it's taken us, I'm talking about, like, mankind, so long to realise the capabilities of dogs? It's only now, isn't it, really, certainly in the last couple of years, that we've realised that dogs are sensitive, so sensitive to the body odours, really, of a human being. They can tell when somebody's got cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when we walk, we leave in our wake almost around 40,000 rafts, which are sort of skin cells in our wake.
Right.
And that's what a dog's scenting. So the fact that, you know, our bodies can change when we're sick, or, for example, if we're about to have a seizure or you have diabetes, dogs can sense those changes. They can smell them. They have around 250 million scent receptors in their noses. We only have around 5 million. So their scent capabilities are incredible, and the part of the brain devoted to smell is 40 times bigger than that of a human. So that's really the way that they process the world around them, is through smell. So
shouldn't a GP, right, a doctor in this country, in his surgery, shouldn't he have a medical dog in that surgery every time a patient comes in? And the dog could indicate in some way that it detected something in the patient that you know, maybe the patient hadn't come in to talk about. If a patient comes in and says, "Oh, I've got an abscess in my ear, doctor," but if that patient has got a latent tumour for cancer or something like that, the dog would start barking or something. Wouldn't that be a sensible policy?
I think it would. You'd have to talk to the NHS about that one.
Yeah, but I mean, is it?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people would feel strange about that. I mean, as much as I'm very much a dog person,
they would.
I don't think a lot of people would like that.
But isn't that practical, though? Isn't it practical?
You're not going to see the doctor, are you?
The doctor, I like that, Mark. Yeah. I don't think you should make a joke about people's illnesses, frankly. But
I'm not.
I mean, yeah. But no, Victoria, what I'm saying is, OK, so people might find it a bit strange the dog was there until they got used to it. I mean, you know, people used to find it strange to see dogs at airports until they realised they were sniffing out explosives.
Well, some of them were going on holiday.
You idiot. They were not going on holiday. They were sniffing out explosives or drugs or contraband or something like that. I'm sorry you have to deal with this oaf in the studio here, Victoria. I'm trying to be serious about it. He's going around calling the doctor a dog tour. And, you know, I'm trying to get to the bottom of just how extensively we can use dogs with their intelligence in our society.
Yeah, we can. And in fact, there's a wonderful organisation in the UK, Medical Detection Dogs, and they're doing exactly that.
Right.
They are detecting different diseases in people, including cancer.
Yeah.
And the founder, Claire, her own dog detected her own breast cancer.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, it was detected early enough. So Medical Detection Dogs, amazing organisation.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how do you determine, like, for example, on this show where you selected these intelligent dogs, how do you determine the intelligence of a dog? Because I've got a dog, and he's a golden Labrador, or yellow Labrador, I should say. And, I mean, he's quite an intelligent dog because he's a Labrador. But how can you tell exactly how intelligent they are?
You give them tests, don't you?
Well, I don't know if I want to give them a test, though.
Yeah, but you're right, though, Mike, because we took them through lots of challenges.
Yeah.
And we assessed how they processed these challenges and how they worked with us.
Yes.
And that's how. And the most important thing for us is confidence. We wanted confident dogs.
Yeah.
And so, and we found them. And not every dog is going to be able to fly a plane, but there are some dogs out there that are just, they're just geniuses.
Yeah.
And they are brilliant learners, and we found them.
Well, I mean, not every human can fly a plane, let's face it. I mean, it takes a long time to train an RAF pilot, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're talking here about a Cessna, aren't we? Single-engine plane, that
same
sort
principle.
of thing. Well, it's not really.
It doesn't have to fire any missiles, no.
No, yeah, but not only that, but I mean...
Well, you can't fly a Cessna, can you?
Yeah, well, if I was in a Cessna aeroplane and the pilot suddenly died of a heart attack, and that sort of thing happens all the time in America, Victoria...
Well, not all the time.
It does. The people
every day?
Yes, every day. People use aeroplanes in America to fly extraordinarily short distances, 100 miles, 200 miles. There's so many airfields around, and people often die at the controls when they're with their wife or something like that. Now, if that happened to me, I'd be able to seize the controls of that plane and land it without a shadow of a doubt.
No, you've never tried.
No, I would.
Really? Could you? I don't know. Could you?
Yeah.
I don't think you could.
I could, yeah. I definitely could, yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. The principle of flying an aeroplane is not difficult. I mean, have you seen the film, Victoria, those magnificent men in their flying machines?
I have. It's one of my favourite films.
Yeah, well, I'm serious. Well,
Porky's entire, sort of knowledge base is on fictional movies. So if he sees somebody doing something in a film, he immediately thinks he can do it in real life.
No, what I'm saying, Victoria, is that the basic principle of flying is to have a motor attached to a structure, and you get the thing moving to a speed where if you suddenly turn the angle of the wing, it takes off. I mean, that's the basic principle. And there was only one gear in those planes.
Yeah, but landing it's a bit more complicated, actually.
Well, it is a bit more complicated, but the same
Why don't
principle.
you let Victoria speak?
Yes, of course, Victoria, yes.
Yeah, but wait a second. Mike, have you ever flown a Cessna before?
Me, no. I've been in them, but I haven't flown one. But it doesn't look difficult to me. I've flown a helicopter.
You have not flown a helicopter?
I have flown a helicopter.
When?
From Red Hill Airport when I went and took helicopter lessons.
When did you do that?
About 3 or 4 years ago.
3 or 4 years ago? You got any pictures?
No. But
no pictures of you flying in a helicopter?
No, but it's not
so
difficult.
So you took a load of helicopter lessons, you flew a helicopter, and you didn't think of taking a picture?
No, I didn't.
Really?
Well, I wasn't standing outside the helicopter. I was standing inside it.
You were standing inside it?
I was sitting inside it.
I knew you were short.
I was sitting inside it. I mean, what do you think I'd do? Get out and suddenly say to one of the workers?
Victoria's here to talk to us, not just between you and I.
You raised the issue, not me. So
I don't believe a word of it, Victoria.
So, Victoria, you sound to me like you're doubting my ability to suddenly seize the controls of a Cessna and fly it.
Well, yeah, because you got to... OK, taking off and landing is pretty difficult. Plus, also, when you're up there and you're dealing with turbulence...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much faith.
I think you'd rather be with a dog in the cockpit, I think, wouldn't you, by the sounds of it?
Sorry, Victoria.
Absolutely. Give me a dog any day.
Are you a pilot, Victoria?
Absolutely not.
No.
Well,
look, I respect everything you say about dogs and all that, but, I mean, I'm not sure how you can so dismiss my confidence in being able to fly an aeroplane. If you don't fly an aeroplane yourself, do you feel that you wouldn't be able to do it?
I doubt my dexterity of being able to fly an airplane. I do. I mean, but I don't know. I think it's harder than you're making it out to be.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I can give you one piece of insight into Mike Parry's character, Victoria. Mm-hmm. We had a show that we were doing just before Christmas, and one of the guys working inside TalkSport had a guide dog with him. Do you remember?
Yes.
And when I came in, he was a Labrador. The dog immediately sort of came over to me and just stood next to me and wanted me to stroke him, and which I did, and we had a very nice time together. About 10 minutes later, Mike Parry came in, and the dog became very aggressive and sort of started barking at him, and very agitated. So, what do you make of that?
Can I say it on the radio?
Yeah, definitely.
Say anything you want.
Oh well, I don't want to insult you, but sometimes people elicit certain reactions in dogs.
Yeah.
And I feel like dogs are they really pick up on the scents and the sounds and the smells of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody's fearful or somebody's maybe a little bit over the top.
Over the top?
A bit brash.
Brash.
A bit brash.
Brash.
Maybe that could cause...
Excuse me, Victoria. You're accusing me of being, a loud-mouthed...
I think the dog was a great...
A loud-mouthed, brash individual. Could it be this, Victoria? I have acute heart failure, right? I have dilated cardiomyopathy. It's not rubbish. Dilated cardiomyopathy. Do you think the dog might have picked up on that?
It might have done. It might have been probably scared you might have been about to have a heart attack.
Exactly. And one final question, Victoria. I want you to answer this. I was told by friends in New York that they had to put down a load of dogs after 9/11 because the dogs went into the rubble to try and find human bodies. There weren't any. That had been incinerated or crushed to powder. And the dogs were so frustrated at not being able to complete their task, they went mad and they had to be put down.
No, well, actually, because I lived in Manhattan during 9/11 and I worked with dogs.
Right.
So I was at the Family Assistance Centre and I worked with all the therapy dogs, and I know a lot of the search and rescue dogs. Mm-hmm. Only very few search and rescue dogs work the actual pile. What happened is that the human remains were taken from Ground Zero, and they were taken over to Staten Island.
Yeah.
All the remains were taken over to Staten Island, and the dogs were in Staten Island going through the remains there.
see. Yeah.
Or through the rubble there, rather than on the pile. Yeah, there were some dogs on the pile. In fact, one of the dogs, there's still a dog existing that worked the pile as well. But very, very quickly, when they realised that there weren't any survivors there, and they were about, when they pulled the last survivor out, they realised that this wasn't going to be a search and rescue mission anymore.
Yeah,
so they didn't use the dogs anymore, and they took them over to Staten Island. So actually, no, the dogs are fine. It's the first responders, a lot of first responders that have gotten very sick, and a lot of them have died too because of the air quality down there.
I see,
but not
the dust and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I see, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Victoria, well, thank you very much indeed for coming on to our radio show, branding me a brash loudmouth,
incapable of flying a plane.
Incapable of flying a plane and who worries dogs. Apart from that, it's been very, very pleasant to have you on the show.
Yeah, many apologies, Victoria.
I always love coming on the show. I always love coming on the show, so just ask me any time and I'll be here.
That'll be super.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. What a charming woman Victoria is.
You think she's charming?
I can't believe you kept talking over her.
She called me a brash loudmouth.
Well,
she said the dog clearly found you to be, not a very particularly pleasant person. She said that I wouldn't have any chance at all of flying an aeroplane. She dismissed my theory about dogs in Manhattan. Well, apart from that, it was great to
we'll talk some more.
talk to her.
Because she basically put you straight on a bunch of things, which is what we have guests for. And also, I want to hear more about this alleged helicopter lesson that you took.
Oh, I did. I flew over my sister's house.
You've never told us anything about this before.
Flew over my sister's house in Kingswood.
Oh, I smell a rat.
No,
this is
no
Talk
rat.
Sport.
Nice tiling job, mate. Pat in the back for that.
Everyone likes to be rewarded, so this month at Tile Giant we're rewarding you with some amazing trade deals, like 60 by 60 polished porcelain floor tiles for just $10.83 a square metre. Pro Flexible Grey adhesive 20 kilos, $8.33.
You're kidding.
10mm plastic white trim, 83p.
You what?
Tile Giant trade deals, that's what. Get the new Tile Giant trade card in store and get saving, but hurry, offers end Feb 29th. Prices ex-VAT at 20%. See tilegiant.co.uk.
Life is exciting.
Life is rewarding.
Now imagine your life enhanced with boundless opportunities.
A life where elite training gives you the edge.
Where travel and adventure are yours for the taking.
With roles from anti-piracy to counterintelligence. This is a life where you can realise your potential.
A life where you can make a difference.
All for as little as 24 fully paid days a year. Experience our way of life at Royal Naval Reserve Live. To find out about events in your area, search Navy Reserves.
Thinking about care for an elderly loved one is never easy, but getting the right advice and support can be. Bupa's Elderly Care Support Line is here to answer any questions you might have. From paying for care to finding care homes in your local area, our advice is free and available to everyone. You don't even have to be a Bupa customer. So call Bupa's Elderly Care Support Line today on 0800 52 000 52 or search Bupa Elderly Care online.
When you need all the latest form and odds on all the day's sporting action and you need it fast, you need the Coral Daily Download. Get all the latest news and great offers on all the big games and all the biggest race meetings in one essential package. Delivered to your ears at the speed of sound. Don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. Your best bet for breakfast.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
You recognise that piece of music?
Is that the film theme?
It is a film theme.
Yes.
If you think about it, I'm sure you'll get it. Something to do with the police?
Police.
Police. Not police.
Oh, it's Police Academy.
Police Academy, yes,
that's it. Yeah,
because George Gaines has died.
Right, that's right. It's terrible. He was the He was the commissioner of the academy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Commandant Lescott.
That's right.
Died at the age of 98.
98. That's a fantastic age.
That's not a bad
to
age, is it?
And he was in all 7 films, wasn't he?
I believe so.
The bungling sort of head of the academy. Yeah. No, he was
very funny guy. He was. He passed away on Monday, North Bend, Washington State. Originally born in Finland, apparently.
Born in
Finland, which I didn't know.
Washington State. That's a remote place as well.
You know, it's one of the few states in America I haven't been to.
Yeah, I went there. I don't know why, but I went somewhere.
You would have gone to Seattle, presumably, would you?
I went to Seattle, yeah. That was a Microsoft story.
Yeah.
That's right, to see Bill Gates, yeah.
Did you see him?
No, saw his people, but you never see him.
He wouldn't let you see him?
No. Saw his house, though, the one he lives in.
Why didn't you just get a helicopter and fly over it?
Well, you see, now, I take exception to when I tell you things that I've done, and
you've never mentioned that
I don't believe you.
Well, you've never mentioned that you've
tell
pilot.
lies.
I'm not saying you tell lies.
Why would I mention it?
Why would you not?
Well, I mean, why would I suddenly one day we're here and say, oh, by the way,
you tell me when you go to
helicopter.
Wetherspoons and have fish and chips, why wouldn't the fact that you've flown a helicopter in the past ever come up in conversation?
I don't know, but it's come up now, and I've told you. From Red Hill Airport, I got into a helicopter and I flew with Pat. Now, do you remember? Well, we used to have a PR guy here called Pat.
Don't know.
Who was a mate
how many years ago was that? I mean, I've been working here for about 9 years, right?
Right.
And I never knew a guy called Pat.
Yeah, Pat must have come before you were here then, because Pat worked in New York. Pat was a colleague in New York.
Do you mean Pat Malone?
Pat Malone. That's exactly what I mean.
Okay.
Pat Malone is not only a journalist, right? It's not only who did he work in New York for? He
Star. Was a stringer for the Mail on Sunday.
I thought it was Star magazine. And
in fact, when I first knew him, he worked for the Mail on Sunday in London.
Right, and then he wouldn't have gone out there to work for them, so he must have gone there to work for...
No, he would have done, because the Mail on Sunday... I used to write an American football column for the Mail on Sunday.
Didn't he work for the Inquirer or Star as well? I think he did.
He might have done some work for the Star.
Yeah, I think he did, yeah. But anyway, the point of the story is, in addition to being a journalist, he'd had a lifelong interest in helicopters, and he was a qualified helicopter instructor.
Right.
So I said to him, I'd be interested in that. He said, well, come down. So I'll go down to Red Hill.
Yeah.
He gets a helicopter out of the hangar, right, and, and off we went.
Well, did you have to pay for it?
I didn't pay for the first one, but I paid for the next two. And it's, I think it was 250 quid a time. And I was going to go and pursue it and get a helicopter pilot's licence.
Why?
Well, because I wanted one. And I wanted to be able to fly, to Cornwall for the day or something like that, you know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
And then...
Why?
Sorry?
Why?
Because I find it exhilarating to be in a helicopter. It's an exhilarating experience.
Is it like Budgie the helicopter?
No.
So you just fly down to Cornwall on your own? And stagger about and have a few drinks and fly back?
No. You take people with you and you say, look, I tell you what, let's go to Tintagel Castle today and have lunch there. And you fly your helicopter over.
So for you, it would be just a way of showing off, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't be a way of showing off. It would be a way of doing something different. Unlike you, I wouldn't get into a beaten-up old, 13-year-old Mercedes with holes in the bonnet.
Why not?
And drive down the A21 into a traffic jam.
Why?
Because I've got broader thoughts.
Yeah.
I've got a broader thinking pattern.
Well, apparently not, because you never did it, did you?
Well, I didn't have time. In the end, work took over and I couldn't get down there every Sunday to do it. But, I mean, for instance...
But I'm staggered that you would learn to... I mean, if I, for example, was ever in a situation where I could fly in a plane or a helicopter and be at the controls, I would make damn sure somebody had a picture of it, of me doing it.
It never occurred to me.
Why not?
Because I didn't think it wasn't for public consumption. It was something I wanted to do. I wasn't trying to big myself up at all. It was great. I flew over my sister's house in Surrey because this was Red Hill Aerodrome.
Did she know you were doing that?
No.
I bet she would have been warning you off if you had.
No, I told her later that I'd flown over
what if you crashed into
the back garden. Eh?
What if you'd crashed into it?
Well, I didn't crash into it.
I know, but
Pat was in the helicopter, wasn't he? He was the instructor.
So was it like dual controls?
No, it wasn't actually. No, it wasn't dual controls.
So you were flying a helicopter?
The control in a helicopter is in the middle.
Yeah.
So you don't have dual controls, but I mean, he can reach it with his right hand and I reach it with my left.
Yeah, but you could still do something catastrophic in a second, which could make it crash. There's a difference between a helicopter and a plane.
Yeah, but why?
Is that once a helicopter goes wrong, it just drops like a stone.
Yeah, but why would I do anything catastrophically wrong?
Well, because you don't know how to fly a helicopter.
Well, you do, because all you do is hand onto it. You literally fly a helicopter with the joystick in the middle. That's all. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And some pedals at your feet.
And
That's
what
all
do the pedals do?
I'm not sure, really.
You
but
don't
I mean,
know? Even though you can fly a helicopter?
Yeah, well, I can't fly a helicopter. I had instructions in how to fly a helicopter, right? But the best thing was, when we got down, Pat then took control of it, and as we came in to the aerodrome, he said, we'll do some, what they call Vietnam rolls. And the helicopter tilts to the side, and you think, what's going on here? And then you fly almost sideways around the edge of the aerodrome.
Yeah, I've seen them do that, yeah.
That's right, to come and land just in front of the hangar.
Yeah.
And it was very exhilarating.
I'm sure.
It was great.
So you haven't actually flown a helicopter, is what you're telling me?
Yes, I have. I have flown the helicopter with an instructor sitting next to me.
Well, you can't have flown it. You've had your hand on a joystick.
Yes.
You haven't taken off in a helicopter.
No.
You haven't landed one.
Yes, I have taken off one. On the third lesson, we took it. Yeah, I took it. He said, right, gently,
Right.
and we lifted off, yeah.
But why don't you know what the pedals do then?
Well, I don't know. He just told me when to push them and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, they're not as important as in an aeroplane. In an aeroplane, they turn the flaps up and down, right? On a helicopter, all they do is kind of open and close I think it's the back rotor or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's something to do with the direction. The rudder?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think there's anything to do with the rudder?
No, I don't think. No, it could be.
Well, how
could
could you take off a helicopter without knowing what the pedals are for?
Well, because you just go up when you take off.
You just go up?
You don't go forward, you go up. Yeah.
I'm staggered
No,
by
no,
this.
well, I'm sorry, but I mean, that's it. That's what I did. And in fact, actually, I have now decided...
Have you got a certificate?
No, you
Why
don't get a
not?
certificate until you get your licence.
Right.
I've decided now I might take it up again and complete it because it was it's something I should have done. And
Well,
then
I'm not getting in one with you.
Well, you wouldn't be invited to get in one with me, but then you can get in a helicopter and you can fly to France and have lunch in Le Touquet, right?
Well, you can't drink, though, can you?
You can. There are absolutely no regulations or rules on a pilot. No.
So you could go and have a big lunch in Le Touquet.
Yes.
And then get bladderated
Yes.
and then fly the helicopter back.
Yes, you can. There
Really?
are absolutely no rules.
Do you really think that anybody would want to come with you?
Under the Civil Aviation Authority rules, there are absolutely no legal rules as to how much you drink when you're flying a helicopter.
Really?
Honestly, anybody can do it,
Right.
and you could.
Well, you know our friend Donald in Glasgow?
Yes.
He's got a helicopter's licence, so maybe
he?
next time we go up there, you can show off one of his helicopters.
Good idea. Has
What
he
you could
got
do.
a helicopter?
No, he just uses one when he needs
Well, that's
one.
what you do. You go down to you ring up on the Thursday and say, right, I'm flying to France on Sunday. Can you have me a chopper ready at 10 o'clock on Sunday? And you drive up with all your mates and you say, right, come on, we're taking my chopper to Le Touquet. See? It's easy.
But it's not your chopper, though.
Well, of course it's not your chopper. It is for the time that you're flying
Right.
it. You only pay for a helicopter for the flying time when it's in the air. I mean, for instance, a couple of years ago, I hired a helicopter to go to the Epsom Derby and took some friends there. And we flew
Yeah, but you didn't fly it, though.
No, of course I didn't fly it, you idiot, but I'd like flying in helicopters. Battersea Airport, which is just down the road here.
It's just more self-aggrandizement.
No,
You
it's
just like
not.
the idea of landing in the middle of a racecourse and getting out of a helicopter, don't
Yeah,
you?
I do, yeah. And in fact, I had one once to go to Cheltenham, but that was too far. It was too far. It took too long. It took an hour and 10 minutes.
Well, it didn't take as long as a bloody train. Anyway, we'll be talking about Cheltenham coming up in a little while, but first, we must do this.
Drive on Talk Sport with Adrian Durham and the man who once went missing in the Rhubarb Triangle but lived to tell the tale, Darren. The Yorkshire Sound and the Peterborough Fury of sports broadcasting.
Shut up and drive.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
The Drive Time Sports Radio show that's anything but low profile.
So, Drive Mobile, let's go!
Masters of Drive Time Radio, Adrian Durham and Darren Goff. This afternoon from 4.
Drive it, and they will come.
On Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Craig says, at the two mics, Porky the Biggles of Waterloo, dog whisperer and aficionado of cheese. And a tube.
Yeah.
Did you see that story about Parmesan cheese, by the way?
Yes, I
earlier on
did.
today?
It's made of wood.
Yeah.
See, I told you it wasn't real cheese, didn't I?
no, some people, and I would hate, I would I would not really like to describe them as gullible types, but they may be members of the Porky tribe, in which case they are.
Yes.
But they all posted these things on Twitter going, "Oh, Porky was right."
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
powdered cheese. Well,
Yes.
except if you read the story properly, which I'm sure you did, you will find that one, it's manufacturers of Parmesan cheese in the United States, which the FDA have said, are doing things in the wrong way. And as you might remember, I said to you, Parmesan cheese actually is a hard cheese that you should buy whole. You don't just buy.
And I told you it's a powdered cheese.
Yeah, but it's not. The point is that the reason why you don't buy it in powdered form is precisely because of this reason. You don't know what they're putting in it.
Yeah, well, when according to your thinking, it must be proper cheese because you say it's grated down from a block. What I said is, no, I said the stuff that you get in bottles is not grated down from a block at all.
You said
it's powdered cheese.
You said it was only in that form, which of course it isn't.
Now, have we got some responses to what we've been talking about?
Yeah, we
please?
have. Robbie
Good.
says this: I only just woke up on the couch and tuned in time to hear that call with Victoria. Don't hold back, girl. Porky gets rinsed.
Yeah,
in his words.
I did. She said that the dog barked at me because I was probably a loud, brash, overbearing person.
Yeah.
And that's a shocking character assassination from some young lady on the other side of the Atlantic who's never met me.
And Colin says, Porky, Victoria sussed you out in one phone call.
Yeah. I know.
Kevin says, sounds like Victoria knows Mike Parry very well.
But she doesn't. Never met her. Isn't that a terrible thing?
Well, here's one from DJ Brizey. He says, no wonder Porky's single and has never married. The way he talks to a woman who disagrees with him is a disgrace.
No, it's not disgrace at all.
Chauvinist pig.
Listen, people are getting rude about my helicopter flying experience, right? Old Woodenhead, who's, quite a regular correspondent to this show.
He is, yeah.
He says, it must be one huge helicopter to lift old Porky off the ground. Gigantic bulk. It's a bit unkind, isn't it? Hey?
The only helicopter Porky's ever flown comes with a remote control in a box.
It says here, Maxwell Silverhammer sent me a picture of the inside of the cockpit of a helicopter. And is it a plane? Oh, no, this could be an aeroplane.
Well,
it's an aeroplane.
You should be able to tell the difference, being such a helicopter expert.
Yeah, it's an aeroplane. He says, here you go, Porky, have a look at this. It's a lot harder than you think. Everything you need to know to land a 737. Oh, it's inside of a cockpit of a 737.
Yeah.
I didn't say I could land a 737. I would have extreme difficulty, although I do believe that...
You just put it on automatic pilot, do you?
No, I believe that if I was in contact with the ground, I had my cans on, my headphones, and they were talking me, how to put it down, I would put it down. Now, there's one here, and this is from John, and he says, so old Porky fancies himself flying a helicopter whilst bladderated. No, I didn't say that. What I said was there are no laws regulating how much helicopter pilots can drink. He says he's been watching too much Wolf of Wall Street. Now, have you seen the Wolf of Wall Street, Mike?
I certainly have seen the Wolf of Wall Street.
They fly a helicopter in that when they're all off their heads on drugs, aren't they?
Hey?
Aren't they all off their head on drugs when they're flying a helicopter in that one?
Well, I think they're all off their heads on drugs throughout most of the film.
Yeah, but I think flying a helicopter... There was a guy who inherited a huge amount of money in a stately home. He was a bit like... he was the Duke of somebody, and he inherited his father's fortune.
Marcus of Blandford.
I was going to say a bit like Marcus of Blandford, but Marcus of Blandford, of course, is a reformed character. His problems with drugs and things are in the past.
I told you I spent a lot of time with him back in the 90s.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, that's right. He used to be a sort of close confidant.
Yeah, he used to ring me up in the middle of the night and sort of talk to me.
That's right. Yeah, the one I'm thinking about lived out sort of Norfolk way, okay, and he inherited his human life.
Yeah.
But he was a complete drug addict, and he used to fly his father's helicopter around completely off his head all the time.
Yeah.
And he said how he never flew into telephone lines and all that kind of stuff. He never knew. It doesn't matter now because he died of a drug addiction many years ago.
Dear me.
Yeah.
Well, it's slightly worrying, though, that all these people are flying helicopters around, including you, thinking that there's no problem with having a drink beforehand or taking drugs or anything else.
I didn't say that.
Well, you said you go to the 2K, have a big lunch, stuff up lunch, a few bottles of wine, and you can fly back.
Yeah, that's... Well,
I think you'll find that's illegal.
No, according to... There are no laws about how much I mean, I'm not advocating it at all.
Well, why do they arrest pilots, then, if they think that they've had too much to drink when they turn up to fly their planes?
Well, that's because they're professional pilots. I'm talking about amateur pilots.
Yeah, whether you're an amateur driver or a professional driver, you're still subject to the same laws.
I'm telling you, there are no laws against it, and I'm not advocating it. If I went to Letuke with some friends, I'd let them drink as much as they want. I'd have 2 glasses of red and then fly the helicopter back.
Oh, great.
That's not a problem.
I'd be taking a train back, I think.
There's old Stumpy here saying, Porky in a helicopter, so it's true, pigs do fly. Oh, that's very nice, isn't it, eh?
Yeah. Davey says this, Porky is literally that one kid who will say he did everything just to impress his friends.
What?
What do you mean, what?
What are you trying to say? That I only hire helicopters to fly to sporting events to impress people?
Yeah, well, Hetty says this, I'm appalled. The limit on alcohol for a helicopter pilot, private or commercial, is 0, according to CAA regulations. You heard of the CAA?
Yes, the Civil Aviation Authority.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not aware of that law. That must have been introduced quite recently. It wasn't around.
I very much doubt it.
Wasn't around when I was pursuing the option of becoming a helicopter pilot.
And Ashley says, I love Victoria. Bring her on the show every week. She left Porky speechless. She just proved how much of a plank he is.
Yeah, and Kevin has sent in a picture of Pinky and Perky flying in their helicopter with, again, the caption, pigs do fly.
Yeah.
That's very harsh. He's referring to me, of course.
There's a great picture as well of Postman Pat.
Yes.
Somebody said this is Porky's mate, Pat, the helicopter pilot.
Yes, absolutely. Fallacy of misleading vividness. A sample of 10 biblical accounts invariably based on the same sources prove... Oh, what's this rubbish?
What? What are you talking about? You're supposed to read them to yourself before you read them out.
Okay.
Just in case there's some kind of problem.
Right, it says here, Steve says, how could you file your flight plan when you're bladderated? Surely these guys would have something to say. And then he's got a picture of a police helicopter flying around. Yeah, but the police helicopter doesn't police the skies against drunken helicopter pilots. The police helicopter is usually in the air to chase villains who are on the ground.
No, actually, the police helicopter, as you put it, has only one place to land in London. That's one of the big problems. And they have to land it at that Battersea heliport. You know, it's a yellow
yeah.
police helicopter. And the only reason they take it up in the air, because you always see it, for example, on those weekends when there's like a demonstration or something like that.
Carnival or something.
And they sit up there, and it's a bit like when the police used to have those fast cars on the motorway. You know, they all can't wait to get in it.
That's
and
right.
they just sit static up in the air, filming people.
Yeah, I know.
And that's all they use it for.
Quite ridiculous.
They don't chase bad guys at all.
No, quite
it's
ridiculous.
It's not like in LA, you know, like the old O.J. Simpson chase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you imagine what that was like when they had the police helicopters up, plus they had all the network news helicopters
O.J.
up.
Simpson's going to form part of the Porkyvision
have you
review.
been watching that show, have you? Is it any good?
Hey?
Is it any good?
Well, you know, I'll tell you.
It's
tell
not
you
easy
later.
to say. By the way, I've spotted a new job opportunity for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trinity Mirror are going to unveil a new newspaper called The New Day.
The New Day?
It's going to come out weekdays, and it's supposedly going to be going up against the Eye. Because you know how the Independent's now been closed down. And surprise, surprise, by the way, lots of independent journalists are now shocked to learn that they may not be being taken on in the online version after all.
No.
Even though they were told that might happen.
Yeah, no, it was always known that 90% of the journalists who are in the written word were going to lose their job when it went onto the digital.
Yeah, but all they're taking is this kind of named columnist with them, right?
Yeah,
But they said they were going to try and revitalise a website and they were going to use an awful lot of journalists, but they're not going to do that. And the Mirror, because, I mean, having worked for the Mirror and Trinity Mirror for many, many years, I can tell you they're not going to invest much money in it either. But what they're going to do is they're going to try and create a sort of Eye newspaper, sell it for 25p, but basically regurgitate all the news that they've had in all their other publications.
Exactly.
But I thought you might find a slot as a columnist or something.
Why?
Well, because you'd like to be a columnist again, wouldn't you?
No, not necessarily. I've got many, many things that I have to do at the moment. I don't know if I've got time to start writing columns in newspapers.
I can put a good word in for you if you want.
No, I wouldn't bother, thanks, mate. No. Why? You couldn't write a column. You've never written a column, have you?
I've written many columns.
No, I don't think you have.
Yeah, I have.
No.
I used to write a column in the Auckland Gazette. Which was in New Zealand,
Nobody reads that.
Yeah, they used to read it, yeah.
No, that's read by 3 farmers and 50,000 sheep.
Have you ever been to Auckland?
No.
No, so you're slagging off a place you don't know.
Have you ever been to Auckland?
Yeah. Plus, I don't know if sheep can read. There's a few dogs, mate.
No, you haven't been to Auckland, have you?
I haven't been to New Zealand, no.
So, I mean, you know, you and I both
what I
have bothered going there.
What I can tell you
because it's not worth going to, therefore it's not worth writing a column in their newspaper.
I would very much like to go to New Zealand, but I wrote a column for the newspaper for about a year or so.
Yes.
And then the newspaper closed down because it was so popular that the rival paper bought it in order to stop its sort of interfering with their circulation.
No, it closed down because you wrote so much rubbish, everybody stopped buying it.
Yeah. I also used to write a column in the Sunday Times Business News about Wall Street.
Yeah.
I also used to write a column in the Mail on Sunday about American football. So, you know, I've written many columns. I mean, you wrote for the Portsmouth Bugle, I seem to remember.
No. I had a column in the Sunday People for 3 years.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
And what happened to that?
What happened to what?
What happened to it?
What, the Sunday People?
No, what happened to your column?
What happened to my column? I didn't have time to pursue it any further.
They didn't terminate it?
Oh, not at all. No, after 3 years, I had to ring up the sports editor, Lee Clayton, and say, look, Lee, I ain't got time to do it anymore, mate. I'm working Saturdays and Sundays now, so I didn't bother.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was only trying to offer you some help there, but as usual, you've spurned it and been completely and utterly irascible about the whole idea.
No,
I was just thinking of you, and I thought it might be something you'd like to do.
Well, thanks for thinking of
with
me.
With the spare time that you've got during the week.
Think about something else in future. I don't have any spare time. Too busy, you know.
Too busy learning how to fly a helicopter.
No. I'm too busy building the empire.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the time?
Yeah.
The FA Cup 5th round, live on Talk Sport.
And it's a goal!
Saturday from noon, join Matt Smith for a Matchday Live FA Cup special. Get all the build-up ahead of full match commentary of Arsenal versus Hull.
What a goal!
From 3, it's Watford showdown with Leeds.
They're back in the lead!
Followed by Bournemouth versus Everton from 5:15.
Oh my word!
Then Sunday from 1, it's a Sunday exclusive FA Cup special. Here, live full match commentary of Blackburn Rovers versus West Ham. Followed at 4 by Chelsea versus Manchester City.
It's a goal!
Then Monday night from 7, it's a kick-off FA Cup special. Full match commentary of Shrewsbury versus Manchester United. The FA Cup 5th round, live on Talk Sport. Colin Murray.
No, money can't buy you that love.
This morning from 10.
I wasn't calling you love there.
Not at all.
I was talking about the footballer who had supported Putin on a T-shirt underneath his football shirt, Dimitri. Yeah. And what I said was, it wasn't as if he had a Vote Putin T-shirt. And somebody behind the glass there has cynically manipulated what I said and tried to make out that I'm a cheerleader for Putin.
No, we all know what you said.
I am not.
We all know. Have you ever been to the Russian embassy in London?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Why are you saying that with some trepidation?
No, I haven't been to the Russian embassy in London. No, I wouldn't know where the Russian embassy is. Actually,
well, I think given your support for them, they should be inviting you there.
I don't support Russia.
We should go there for the old cocktail party.
I admire them as a strong country.
Is there like a Russia Day or something?
Listen, talking about cocktails. I was talking to a mate of mine actually today. Funny enough, I bumped into him at. I was working this morning with Alan Brazil. What's the problem?
When you say I was working with Alan Brazil,
yeah.
You bumped into a guy not necessarily then in a working atmosphere.
No, not necessarily in a working atmosphere. But anyway, so...
Was it in the Wheat Sheaf?
No, it wasn't in the Wheat Sheaf, actually. No, it was at the Sports Bar and Grill in Canary Wharf, which is a very nice establishment.
It is.
Just went there for lunch after we'd finished work.
Yeah, very nice.
And
they're
anyway,
still our drinking partners, aren't they, officially?
They are our official drinking partners, definitely, yeah. In fact, I was in there the other day with old Stevie, a colleague here. And
don't say his name.
And we met Dave, the owner of the Sports Bar and Grill. But that was in Victoria. Now, what I was going to say to you was this.
Right.
This mate that I met has just split up from a long-term relationship with a lady he'd been living with for a number of years.
Okay.
But he's always been...
She's not taking the house off him, hopefully.
Well, I don't know. I didn't get into it, to be honest. But the point of our story was he's always been very active in his relationships with the opposite sex, okay?
Active.
He's a former footballer, professional footballer, and he's...
he's always had a girlfriend, in other
Always
words.
had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, always had at least one girlfriend, put it that way, you know what I mean?
Or more than one.
Maybe more than one, that kind of stuff. But anyway, what he lamented to me today was, when this latest relationship split up, he said, so he went off down to the West End and went to one of the bars that he has always gone in all his life since he was a footballer.
Yeah.
He played for, a prominent club in London.
Yeah.
And he said he couldn't believe the way that the pulling game has changed since he was last there 2 years ago. And I said, why?
The pulling game?
The pulling game.
That's a rather unfortunate phrase.
Well, what else do you call it? The pick-up game?
Well, I suppose so. I've never liked the word pulling. I've just never liked it.
Well, whatever you call it. So I said,
I've never called it that.
He said, so you go into these bars and where you used to literally, you know that famous Brian Ferry record, took my place at the singles bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
singles bars were very much a thing of the 80s,
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you get this image of going to this place and you're standing there with a cocktail in your hand and there's a group of girls over there and you go over and you start chatting and all that kind of stuff. And the guy I'm talking to, as an expert at that, I've seen him in operation, takes him 3 minutes to have a lady on his arm and they leave the establishment. You know what I mean?
3 minutes?
Oh, yeah, he's brilliant.
Is that how you measure these things?
Yes, anyway, so he said, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I go in the place. First of all, they've changed the arrangement of the furniture and the decor and all that.
Yeah.
There is no standing space now whatsoever. Everybody sits down, and everybody has their face in a laptop or a tablet.
Or an information device.
And there is absolutely no conversation amongst those inside the establishment. I said, come on, there must be. He said, no. If you try to attract anybody's attention or speak to them, they're not interested.
Well, doesn't he get himself on Bluetooth then?
Well, I don't know. I didn't ask him about that. So I said, well, why don't you go somewhere else? He said, there isn't anywhere else. He said there are no...
What do you mean there isn't anywhere else?
He said there's
talking about London.
There are no pickup joints. He said the pickup joint's gone.
That's not true.
No, he said it's completely
gone.
That's not true. No, it's gone. Now, for instance, Mike, if you and I decided...
How old is this bloke?
I would say he's probably about late 40s, 48, something like that.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is...
Well, I think he needs to get out more.
Well, hang on. Suppose you and I decided after, we'd had a very heavy month or something like that, we'd go up west, right?
Up west?
Up west,
I'm sorry, I don't recognise any of this language.
Yeah. No, hang on.
I live in London, right? So I consider London to be London.
Yes,
okay. I don't go, I'm going up west.
All right,
or I'm going down south.
Yeah.
I go wherever.
Yeah, should go down East End.
Yeah.
And if we decided we'd go out on the pull, right? You and I
would not go out on the pull, first of all.
What do you mean?
I would never do that. I've never gone out on the pull in my life.
You're always chasing women.
I've never gone out, as you put it, on the pull.
You are always chasing women.
No, that's not true.
Yes, you are.
No, that's not true.
Yes, you are. You sidle up to them, try to talk clever language and all that
not
kind
true.
of stuff.
See, this is the bit you don't understand. You think you go out on the pull, which is why you're so unsuccessful at it.
What do you mean?
Don't go out on the pull.
That would be ridiculous. All right, so we go out and we decide that we're going to have a few cocktails, maybe a bit of dinner,
right,
and half an eye on the attraction of the opposite sex or something like that. Okay,
half an eye.
Yeah, half an eye.
Okay,
right. Well, there's nowhere we can go now where that sort of system exists anymore.
Well, that's rubbish. You see, because
you tell me somewhere where we'd go.
Well, first of all,
where would we go?
Well, your entire premise is incorrect, right? Because what I would tell you is you don't go on the pull and go, oh look, there's a bar over there where everybody knows if you go in there, you pick up some woman.
Yeah,
right. That's because that's outmoded, ridiculous. I've never lived that way. You go to
what do you mean you never lived that way? You always go to places where you think you'll be able to associate with women.
Well,
yes, you do.
It's called the world. right?
Yeah.
The world. There are women on the tube. There are women on trains. There are women walking down the street.
Trains,
there are women walking down the street. There are women in restaurants.
You harass women on tube trains,
No,
do you?
I don't.
Yeah?
But my point is
that... come for a drink with me.
My point
call
is
the cops.
You can interact with people in any situation. You don't have to go to a specific pulling arena, as you put it, because that's for saddos. And if you go to places like that and you end up pulling someone, then it all ends in tears anyway.
Why?
Because it's not the right way to behave.
OK, so what would your approach be if I said, come on, we're out for a night tonight? What would you do?
We could go out. I never go out with the intention of, in your words, pulling.
Oh,
ever.
come off it.
That's true.
You can't keep your hands off women.
That's not true. That's complete rubbish.
Rubbish. You've got a track record of damaging relationships as long as my arm.
Yeah, but you don't know where I've met any of these people. Well, I certainly didn't pick them up in a bar.
Oh, so you've never met a woman in a bar?
I have met women in bars, but I've never gone to a bar specifically to pick up a woman. Right?
I didn't say specifically.
Yes,
I said
you did.
With half an eye on the opportunity.
You've told me there are no more places to go. You've told me there are no more places to go to pull a woman.
Well, you know what I mean. I didn't mean actually pull. I mean, that's a vulgar term.
It is a vulgar term.
You know, I'm saying to associate, to befriend. Yeah. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
I mean, for example, I've ended up being with a woman that I met on an aeroplane.
Yes.
I've ended up being with a woman I met on a train.
Yes.
You know, if you're travelling around, you know, I've met people sitting having a coffee.
So when we go into bars, then you say to yourself, right, I've got tunnel vision. I'm not taking any notice of any women in this bar.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, you always go into bars. I see you scanning the room.
Not true.
Looking for female company and female.
No, I'm
species.
usually scanning the room in case there's a female there that I might have known in the past who I didn't want to see.
No, it's not. You're scanning the room because you want an opportunity to make a liaison with a woman, which you hope will lead to a sexual exercise of Rogerisation between you and the woman.
You just don't get it, do you?
I do get it. I know exactly what you're up to.
You should just live in a cave, basically.
No, I mean, see, once again, you're saying, you know, I'm the guy.
You're like Stone Age man.
Yeah, you're trying to make it. I'm not sophisticated.
No, you're not.
I am practical and honest, and my approach to life is pragmatic.
Really?
I am Porky the pragmatist.
Porky the pragmatist.
Yeah, I am.
You're Porksky the communist. I think is more likely.
No, I'm not.
But what indeed is your success rate then of recent times?
I'm not going into that. The audience don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, they do. They want to hear about your, amazing, as you would put it, pulling technique.
No, what they want to hear about is why so many people are dying these days. Do you know that more people are dying? More people have died in the last 2 years, than died in the last 30. You know that? Last year, there were 5.4% more deaths than the year before, right? Health chiefs admitted they're baffled by the biggest rise in deaths in half a century.
Where?
Well, in England.
In England?
Loads of people are dying.
Well, what are they dying of?
Dominic Harrison of the Central Lancashire University, who's advised the public health sector, he says, hang on, there's a flashing warning light going on. Something is making the population more vulnerable to death.
Maybe he's sitting in front of a level crossing.
Well, I mean, if he was, he wouldn't have much of a chance. But it's
well,
absolutely
could it not be just because there's more people in the country?
Well,
so therefore, when more of them, when you know, exponentially they die, it seems like more people are dying.
That was my first thought. I thought, well, hang on,
but more people are being born as well, aren't they?
Well, no, less people are being born.
No, the birth rate is going up.
No, it's not. Funny enough, it's going down.
No, it's going down for English people, but it's going up in the country because lots of people are coming here and having babies.
Well, it could be. But the point is, that was my first thought. I thought, well, hang on. When I was brought up, everybody knew there were 50 million people in the United Kingdom. That never changed. That never changed from the age of 4 to the age of 24. You know what I mean?
Right.
There were always 50 million people. There are now 63 million people in the
and the projection is 70 million, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So if you've got more people, then more people are going to die, aren't they? But I think what they're trying to say here, this is per percentage of the population, you see what I mean? So when there were 50 million people, only 1% of people died a year, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Which would be what, about 500,000?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not as if we're suddenly discovering some new thing that's making people die.
Yeah, it is. There is some reason why we're all dying. There's a lot more people dying. And they think it could be, for instance, the fact that we are now becoming immune to penicillin, and therefore a lot of older people are dying of things like pneumonia and flu.
Well, old people die of pneumonia and flu regardless of penicillin. Penicillin doesn't stop you dying of pneumonia and flu.
Yeah, but it does keep some of them alive, you know. Sorry, what's your problem?
You've got the medical knowledge of a dog that hasn't been trained to be a medical dog.
Well, all I'm telling you is what I learned from my health journals.
Really? See the time, by the way.
Here, in any,
no idea.
Don't worry about the time.
I am worried about it.
In any flu season dominated by an H3 subtype flu virus, we can expect the burden of illness to be seen in the elderly, and therefore a relatively high overall mortality rate will ensue.
Will ensue.
Yeah.
So it's more panic stations for these people, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think the figures are there. The figures are there.
I don't think they are. We'll discuss that a bit more. Coming up next, stand by your beds. It's time for Porkyvision.
If you fancy a flutter on the football, a gamble on the golf, a double on the darts, or a treble on the tennis, you're in luck. Get closer to the action every weekend with Betway's Man in the Know on the Weekend Sports Breakfast with Georgie Bingham and Mickey Quinn. Bringing you all the form on the football, the going at Goodwood, the tries at Twickenham, and the overs at the Oval. Every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7 on TalkSport with Betway. Bet now at betway.com.
The best sports news, exclusive interviews and unmissable opinion in this week's Sport magazine. Download your free sport-filled iPad edition now.
Get in-depth previews, stunning photography and exclusive video content. Sport magazine is now available in iPad, Kindle Fire HD and Android editions.
Sport magazine. The weekend starts here.
Landlords. Direct Line guaranteed to beat any quote for the same cover. Can your landlord insurance do that? Search Direct Line Landlord. New customers only. Qualifying criteria apply. Underwritten by UK Insurance Limited.
Life is exciting.
Life is rewarding.
Now imagine your life enhanced with boundless opportunities.
A life where elite training gives you the edge.
Where travel and adventure are yours for the taking.
With roles from anti-piracy to counterintelligence. This is a life where you can realise your potential.
A life where you can make a difference.
All for as little as 24 fully paid days a year. Experience our way of life at Royal Naval Reserve Live. To find out about events in your area, search Navy Reserves.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. It's the breakfast show that's always ready to take on any challenge.
Join me, Alan Brazil, and a different co-host every weekday morning from 6 a.m. as we tackle all the big stories of the day.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6 on Talk Sport with the new Ford Ranger. Ruthlessly tested across the harshest terrain on Earth. Find out more at ford.co.uk.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
This is Talk Sport, and that music, of course, only signals one thing, the return of Porkyvision.
Yes.
We haven't had it for a week, and we've missed it.
Yes.
And so let's hear what you've got for us this week, Mr.
Now, let me
Parry.
tell you, I've watched some real rubbish this week, okay? Real rubbish. Beowulf.
What you put yourself through for the listeners is
absolutely.
quite incredible.
Beowulf, right?
You mean Beowulf?
Beowulf, that's right, yeah.
Not Beowulf.
Beowulf. Return to the Shieldlands. Now, I thought that when I switched it on, I thought it was Beowulf Return to the Shetlands because, of course, I'd watched that Shetlands.
It's easy to confuse
the Rogerisation of the Shetlands things. I'll tell you more about next week. Anyway, I switch it on. Now, we all know about Beowulf from our schoolhood days, don't we?
Yes, indeed.
And what is Beowulf to you?
Well, Beowulf to me is a sort of one of these fantasy figures.
No.
That was dreamed up in the sort of the Nordic lands.
No, Beowulf was that's right. Beowulf was like a rampaging warrior who ran around Scandinavia, sorting people out.
But it's a kind of a mythical thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah. But the problem is when television get hold of it, they then over egg it, and you've got all these blinking dragons flying around.
Because they're trying to make it into Game of Thrones or something, aren't they?
Do you know what? It was supposed to be the English version of Game of Thrones. Right. So they invent all these dragons, but the quality of the special effects is not good enough,
Really?
and the dragon looks completely out of place.
Well, it just looks ridiculous.
It honestly looks like you've got two channels, playing on the same television at the same time, and you've sort of mixed them together.
Yeah.
That is how incompatible it is. Utter rubbish.
Okay.
Don't watch it, anybody. It's drivel. Now, the other one that is rubbish...
I think they're going to axe it as well.
I am told from my contacts in the world of television there will not be a new series. It's rubbish, right?
Okay.
And you heard it here first. Don't bother watching it.
All right.
Now then, what was I going to say to you?
What else? What other rubbish have you been watching?
Jekyll and Hyde.
Can you not tell us a bit about the plot?
What?
Of Beowulf.
I didn't watch it for long enough.
Oh, right.
No.
So you just saw some dragons flying around?
It was drivel. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't concentrate. It offended my eyes.
Okay.
Now, Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll?
Yeah, I started trying to watch that.
I thought they stopped that, didn't they?
They've stopped it because it's rubbish.
Oh, right.
And do you know why?
But was it not on hiatus or something? Because people kept complaining about it. Because we talked about when it started. It was quite a few months ago now, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's quite a while ago.
So is it still running then, is what I'm saying?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Because I saw an episode the other night, but it was a pre-recorded one.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
How long ago was it recorded?
About 3 months ago, I think. What's the problem?
Well, isn't it finished now?
I don't know. But anyway, if it's not, don't watch it, because it's rubbish, okay?
I don't think it's been on this year.
I think it has.
Really?
I think I've seen a listing of it somewhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point
is
that is rubbish as well.
Yeah.
Because if it had been the original, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it'd been fine. But again,
it's in reverse, isn't it? It's like it's the wrong way round, right?
But they introduce all these monsters in it again, and they've changed the plot.
It says the final episode was December the 27th.
Oh, was it? Oh, right. Okay. Well, all right. Well, in that case, you don't need to watch it.
No, tell us. Because
you don't need to.
They might rerun it.
No. This is the information I've had from my sources in television. There's not going to be a new series.
Are you sure?
It was so much rubbish.
All right.
People didn't like it. But again, they started introducing all these weirdos into it. So, the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was was a man who turned into a monster.
Right.
But in this one, they introduced all sorts of beasts being locked up in garages in Victorian London and all this kind of stuff, release the beast and all that kind of stuff. And for some unknown reason, it all started in India. And there's no mention of it starting in India in the book, I don't think.
I don't know.
I haven't read the book, actually. But,
you wouldn't know that.
You know what I mean?
Apparently they were going to do a second series, but they may have now had to cancel
they crashed it. It's rubbish. Yeah. Right, now then, what's the other one? I was going to tell you about.
You were going to tell us about O.J. Simpson, weren't you?
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Yes. First episode this week.
Now, it's got a different name. It's not just called that, is it? It's called something else.
It's called O.J. The Chase or something, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. You're the TV reviewer.
O.J. It's O.J. something anyway. That will be good.
It will be.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I've recorded it. And it looks okay to me because John Travolta looks a very convincing sort of brute-faced sort of policeman.
Is this the People versus O.J. Simpson?
That's it. It. It's about the trial.
Yeah.
But I think within the trial they do bring up all the
the chase,
and all the footage of that kind of stuff. Now that chase was organised and filmed by a colleague of ours called Bill Ridley, who we've worked with over the years and who worked here in fact at Talk Sport. And
he still works here, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen him for a while.
No.
Anyway, he was in charge.
Well, that's because he's not here in the middle of the night.
Oh, well, that's true. Absolutely, yeah. I do come here during the day as well,
I know that's true. Well, you're never away from the place.
Well, exactly.
When are you on again, by the way?
Let me see.
After, this week.
I'm not until I see you again next week.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, what I was about to say... Oh, well,
do you not think somebody's going to ring you and ask you to go on to talk about Everton before the game on Saturday?
Well, I think they'll ring us because we're both going to be there.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely do that. We're doing a bit on the pitch at Bournemouth, don't you?
What are we doing?
We're going to go onto the pitch and answer a few questions from...
answer questions?
Kelly Sommers,
right.
who is the...
what sort of questions?
She's one of the media officers.
I hope she's going to have more than one microphone.
Well, I don't know.
You kept sort of, manhandling it.
I don't think I did. Now, and Bill, of course, was the man who put up the helicopter, which followed the...
Was this when he was at Channel 5?
When he was at Channel 5,
yeah, Fox.
Fox in America, and found it. So he did a good job, and that's the basis of the TV series, which is probably going to be worth watching, OK?
Yeah, OK.
Now...
Has it not started yet, then?
What?
Has it not started?
Yes, first episode was this week.
OK.
But I haven't had a chance to look at it.
All right.
I've been too busy.
Right.
If I haven't seen much telly this week, to be honest, because it's been difficult. Oh, I know what I was going to watch. The X-Files.
Yes.
Now,
the new version.
Now, the new version of the X-Files, Mulder and Scully.
Who?
Is it Mulder and Scully?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mulder and Scully.
That's right. Mulder and Scully.
No, Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
Now, they're back on the alien trail, OK?
Yeah.
And did you ever see the first series of the X-Files?
I was never a big X-Files aficionado, actually.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No. What do? Wander around valleys in Wales and pretend that there's aliens around?
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. I mean, it's a little bit like sort of an FBI story.
Is it?
Except they're investigators into the paranormal.
Right. Oh, I see.
I mean, it's quite well described. And
do they meet monsters and all that kind of stuff?
Not really, no. No, it's a bit more kind of subtle than that.
Anyway, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson back as the duo on a perennial quest for the truth.
Yes.
OK?
A bit like yourself.
Well, I'm a seeker of truth and justice, that's true. Now...
I hope they've had more success than you have.
Now, hang on. Although the characters are no longer FBI special agents, apparently, so I don't know what they're doing. Well, I don't. Who are they hunting for now? Then.
Well, the idea is that the FBI were actually secretly searching for alien life.
Right. Okay.
That's the whole point of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So because we believe that may have been the case.
Yeah, but if they're not working for the FBI anymore, what are they doing walking around valleys in Wales looking for?
Well, I guess you'll have to watch the show to find out who they're working for now.
I'll try and
maybe they're working for Spectre.
No, don't be silly. Anyway, now look, the other show I want to talk to you about, let me see, what else do I need to talk to you about? I need to talk to you about... See, I haven't had a chance to watch much TV this week, to be honest, and so I've been piecing things together. Coronation Street, more Rogerisation.
Right.
And it's Ken Barlow, who's the greatest
Ken
Roger.
Barlow?
Ken Barlow is the
Isn't he
greatest.
about 80?
In real life he is, but in the show he's 72 or 73.
Right. Well, that's still a bit old, isn't it?
Well, he's
For
the
that sort
great.
of behaviour.
He's the greatest Rogeriser in the history of television. He has been Rogerising for 50 years. How about that? That's some
On
Rogerising
Coronation
history.
Street.
Yeah.
Surprised he's still alive.
He's probably had about 40, girlfriends, wives, lovers, whatever you want to call them, in the show. And he's now after, who is it? Audrey? Audrey. He's after Audrey.
Who's Audrey?
Audrey runs the hair salon.
Okay.
Okay?
Because you've told us before about the complicated sort of interconnections between the guy who's the chef
unbelievable.
and the woman who runs the pub
all
and all of that.
All that's still going on, but Ken's now got his eyes on Audrey.
Right.
Now, what happens is... And
how young is Audrey then?
Oh, she's in the 70s as well.
70s?
Oh, this is pensioner love. I mean, this is cretinous stuff.
I thought you would find out a bit unfortunate.
Oh, I do. I find it very unpalatable, to be honest.
Unpleasant.
Unpleasant, yeah. But anyway, what happens is... some woman arrives in the show and unveils her way into Ken's life, much to Audrey's displeasure, because Audrey, for some unknown reason, is looking for a boyfriend, and I think it's because... her last boyfriend must have died or something, you know what I mean? Because they're all very old.
Yeah.
And so she's got her eyes on Ken.
And is Ken a good catch then? Is he wealthy?
Well, he's an intellectual, isn't he?
Huh?
And it's quite something to be an intellectual in Coronation Street, where most of them are portrayed as sort of fairly basic northern people.
Basic?
Yeah, which I think is dreadful. So what's happening is... yes, that's right. So Ken has this other girlfriend, and Audrey's very jealous. And then the other girlfriend gets blown out because she turns out to be,
She gets what?
Blown away.
Right.
Because she turns out to be a bit of a fraud.
Okay.
And that she's got a checkered past, right? Audrey then moves in on Ken.
Yeah.
But then something remarkable happens. Audrey has a heart attack in the salon.
Dear.
Yes, that's right.
Well, lucky it wasn't under more kind of difficult circumstances. What, so while she's chopping somebody's hair?
No, they've shut down the salon for the night, and she's sitting there.
So does she cut people's hair at the age of 70-odd then?
Yes, she does, yes. Right. Yes. And what happens is, so Ken comes in. Oh, I know. She's about to open the door to go home, and then she has the heart attack.
Right.
So she slumps down in a chair. Ken, who is walking his dog on the other side of the road, sees the door open, goes over to investigate, finds Audrey in mid-heart attack in the salon.
Right.
And she says...
Prostrate?
Yeah, well, no, she's just sitting back in a chair sobbing because she thinks she's dying.
Oh, so it's a minor heart attack.
And she says, "Oh, Ken, oh, remember, Ken, oh, I've always loved you. You know that, don't you? Oh, Ken." And Ken is, alarmed. He has a look of alarm in his face. Anyway, what happens then is the old paramedics arrive.
Yeah.
And they diagnose her and say, "You're not having a heart attack." She's not having a heart attack. She's suffering a bit of angina.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is not a heart attack at all.
No, but it can lead to one, can't it?
No, not really. So anyway...
You sure?
Yeah, of course I'm sure. Angina's just a mild thing. No, nobody dies of angina. So, anyway...
Well, you didn't die of severe heart failure or acute heart failure.
No, I didn't actually, no. So then, what happens is, Ken then goes and buys her some flowers and says, "Here are, Audrey." And he's smiling at her.
Doesn't he think of calling an ambulance?
Oh, they've called the ambulance. The paramedics have arrived and diagnosed the angina.
Oh, okay.
But then the next day, he takes her around some flowers to make sure she's okay.
Yeah.
And, of course, he thinks she's in love with him.
Right.
And she says...
Well, she is, isn't she?
She says... no, people always say stupid things when they think they're popping their clogs.
Oh, right.
Which isn't terribly romantic.
Not very romantic at all, no.
And then...
Pretty basic, in fact.
But Ken has clearly got his eye on a bit of Rogerisation, and at his age, it's in short supply in Coronation Street. Yeah. So he's, no, it's right, Audrey. I wasn't offended at all. I didn't say it. I didn't say it, Ken. Now, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, let's just forget it. I want to forget it and all that. So Ken sees the Rogerisation factor drifting off down the Manchester Ship Canal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is extremely disappointed. So I think you'll find that in upcoming episodes, Ken will be on the prowl again for a bit more Rogerisation.
Right. Okay.
Audrey, meanwhile, Audrey, I love you, Ken, is not dying of a heart attack.
Excellent. Well, we're very glad to
there
hear
you
it.
go.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was another edition of Porkyvision. Best TV review this side of Moscow.
It certainly is.
Lots of people have made in requests, but Mr. Parry can only watch what he can watch.
Yes, absolutely.
He doesn't really accept requests. More of the same time next week.
Yes.
Coming up next, we'll be discussing perhaps the plan for the Porky quiz tomorrow.
Absolutely.
On Sir Francis Drake.
Driven to the limit. Power steering.
Talk Sport.
Field texted into 81089. Does only a third of Audrey's heart work? He asks.
Well, it could be.
The Windstone says hideously inaccurate reviews as usual from Porky.
What? I did my best.
The man is a plank.
I haven't had time to watch a lot of TV this week, I'm sorry. Here's one from Ian. He says, only Porky could tell people not to watch a programme that actually finished last December.
True.
Next week, a review of the test card, please. Yeah, you say, I'm sorry, you're not getting the idea. I'm here to provide a service. I do the best I can. You know?
Duncan in Leicester says, typical Porkyvision, programmes he hadn't watched, programmes 3 months ago that have finished.
Yeah, well...
He's not happy about it.
Well, yeah, but you can bet your life they'll be repeated, so I thought I'd just warn you not to watch the repeats, OK?
Here's one from Steve. Why doesn't Porky ask for a rolling curry? You should do that, you know. Because we did, remember we got very close to getting you a rolling Downton Abbey.
What?
Remember we got very close to getting you a rolling Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there wasn't. You weren't able to sort of fulfil the mandate, as it were. But we had the director or somebody on once when we did the mid-morning show.
That's right.
And he agreed to give you a sort of a walk-on extra.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
you should definitely get a part in Coronation Street.
Well, I'm angling for a role in Hollyoaks.
Hollyoaks.
Yeah, Hollyoaks is filmed in
I haven't
my
seen anybody
hometown,
old in that
Chester.
show.
Well, there'll be a role for somebody old, won't there? You know, not that I'm old. I mean, I'm sort of maturely middle-aged.
Yeah, but I mean, whenever the only time I see Hollyoaks is just before I watch Channel 4 News.
Right.
And I tend to watch like the last 5 minutes of it. So I always watch this amazing sort of cliffhanger thing.
Well, it's full of very good-looking ladies.
But that's what I'm saying. I've
Yeah.
never seen anybody at your sort of age in it.
No, well, there's bound to be a role for somebody like my maturity. Anyway,
Maybe it could be a shopkeeper or something.
What?
Maybe it could be a
shopkeeper or something like a gang boss or something like that. You know what I mean?
Gang boss?
Yeah, a gangster or something like that. There are only gangsters in Chester, actually. I was brought up there. Now, what I was going to say was, here we go. This is from Patrick.
Yeah.
He says, rubbish. Haven't watched much TV. Everything is rubbish. What a shocking lack of effort from Porky in Porkyvision.
Well, you see, the audience is very demanding, you see. I mean, there's one thing. I mean, I think it's a bit unfair to accuse you of not working hard enough.
Yeah,
I don't think you could work any harder on the review.
Absolutely right. Now, somebody here called Dazza, in fact, what a really silly name, B67 Dazza, right?
Dazza.
He says, if Porky slept, you'd think Porkyvision was done watching the inside of his eyelids.
Yeah.
That's about as much as he seems to have watched this week. What a plank.
Now, I must tell you that I've had a very important document sent to me by Damien, which is indeed the...
Damien, the devil child.
Well, no, he's not the devil child. He's a listener. But this is the CAA rules on flying.
Oh, OK.
And it's Federal Aviation Regulation 91.17.
Right.
OK? The use of alcohol and drugs by pilots is regulated by this regulation. Among other provisions, this regulation states that no person may operate or attempt to operate an aircraft within 8 hours of having consumed alcohol, while under the influence of alcohol, with a blood alcohol content of 0.04% or greater, or while using any drug that adversely affects safety.
Well, I agree with all of that, but that's for professional pilots, isn't it?
Well, no, it's for anyone flying an aircraft.
I think so.
You don't get to fly a plane drunk just because you're an amateur. I mean, can you imagine? And here's the exemptions list.
Yes.
People who are not very good at flying, people who are amateur flyers, people who have only got limited hours in flight, and people who don't know what they're doing. You can have as many drinks as you like.
No, please get this right. I am not advocating that anybody who flies should be intoxicated in any way or should have anything to drink.
But there is a rule.
I'm just saying that I wasn't aware there were any rules, that was all. I mean, you have to pick me up on all these things all the time.
They don't have
You've
rules.
nothing better to do.
They don't have different rules, for example, on the drunk driving rules on the road. You don't go... Lewis Hamilton gets a different level of alcohol in his blood than the rest of us. You know what I mean? By the way, did you see that story in the Times yesterday about the new plan to give gambling addicts drugs?
What for?
To help cure their gambling.
What, you mean like mind-changing drugs?
Yeah, well, not mind-changing, but basically there's kind of the things they normally give to junkies and to alcoholics, right? Because they think that they've got this addiction problem, because there's now more gambling addicts in the country than before.
Sounds crazy to me.
Thanks to all this online betting and bingo and all the rest of it, right? Things you can do on your phone.
Yeah.
So they've now got this plan and it would cost something like £10,000 per person to put them on this programme of a certain type of drug, which is supposed to stop their cravings for gambling.
I think it's another
madness.
madness.
And it's meant to be sanctioned by the NHS.
Another madness. If I were you, I'd ignore that if I were you. Listen, we talked earlier about actors who now think they dictate political policy by standing up and telling the audience.
You had a lot of support for your Emma Thompson rant the other
Right,
night.
OK, that's good. Now, Cumberbatch is the guy I was talking about, isn't he?
Benedict
Cumberbatch, Educate Harrow. Now,
I thought it was Eton he went to.
Yeah, Eton and... he went to Harrow.
He didn't go to Eton and Harrow.
No, he went to Harrow. Went to Harrow and Cambridge, was it? Something like that.
Probably.
Anyway, look, what I want to tell you, and Eddie Redmayne, he went to Eton, didn't he?
He went to Eton, yeah.
Now, what I want to tell you was, do you know who Robert Lindsay is?
Yes.
Now, Robert Lindsay...
I've interviewed Robert Lindsay.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a good guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Good guy?
When he was, great guy, very funny.
Yes.
He was in Me and My Girl on Broadway at the time.
He was, actually, you're absolutely right.
And he was hilarious. He told me all about the Carry On films, very funny.
Right, and he starred in that dramatisation they made of the militant tendency when they took over the Liverpool Council. Do you remember?
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And he played the role of Derek Hatton.
Yeah.
And he portrayed Derek Hatton to be a monster, really, to be honest.
Right.
And I mean...
Well, you know Derek Hatton,
I know him very well, yeah. And he's an Everton fan.
You wouldn't call him a monster?
No, I wouldn't, under any circumstances at all. And Derek's a very intelligent guy. And...
Hey, speaking of Liverpool, by the way, sorry to interrupt, did you see that FC Augsburg have put out a sort of a phrase book, not a phrase book, but a list of handy phrases for Scousers visiting for the Europa League game?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Translating things like Scran and stuff like that into German.
Really?
Yeah.
Good God, how condescending.
Well, no, I think they're just trying to be helpful.
Anyway, what I was going to say about Robert Lindsay, who made his sort of acting debut in this country in a sitcom called Citizen Smith.
I remember that.
Which was about, a revolutionary young communist who adored Che Guevara.
Yeah.
And wore
well, he
a
was
beret.
a kind of figure of fun.
Figure of fun in Tooting. Was it based in Tooting, was it?
I think it was, yeah.
Tooting.
People's Republic of Tooting.
Yeah. Anyway, what Robert Lindsay says is, he was a working class boy.
Yeah.
And he won a place at an acting school. Right? He's saying people like Cumberbatch and Eddie Redmayne are now so middle class or upper middle class, that is the way they've turned the acting profession, and that working class kids can no longer get into acting because the image given out now from these people winning all these Oscars are that unless you go to Eton or Harrow or Oxford or Cambridge, and Emma Thompson is a product of that as well, which we talked about the other night.
But hang on, you said
can't get into acting anymore.
You said not that long ago how proud you were of all these public school boys doing so well in Hollywood.
Well, I am, but I didn't realise it was to the exclusion of the working class kid who deserves his opportunity in life, right?
Well, of course it is.
Nothing wrong with a kid pulling himself up by his bootstraps, born on a council estate, where there are some scumbags. There are all scumbags on council estates.
Yeah, we didn't read out a lot of the... we got a lot of tweets on that, actually.
Small percentage.
Some people being very, shall we say, disagreeing with you on that one.
I don't blame them because they might have read it the wrong way. I just said that, unfortunately, local authorities have this habit of trying to dump problem families in social housing.
Yeah.
And that's to the detriment, of course, of the 98% of good, solid, salt-of-the-earth people who live on council estates.
You're changing your tune now, because you're always talking about top people go to top schools, right? Now, you would love this, right? Because Cumberbatch's great-grandfather was, guess who? Henry Arnold Cumberbatch, who was Queen Victoria's Consul General in Turkey and Lebanon.
Isn't that amazing?
So you would love all that. You would love all that kind of history and the fact that, his family were one of the top families in Britain.
I like the tradition of the upper class.
Because it's part of your snobbery thing.
No, it's not. It's just that I kind of feel I belong there, that's all.
Yeah, but you don't belong there. They would treat you like worse than a serf.
Well, that's why I'm aspirational. That's what everybody should be, aspirational.
Aspirational?
Yes.
Is that what you call yourself?
Yes, indeed
I can think of a couple of other words. Let's talk sport.
Power to the people!
Talk Sport, we are the two mics, coming to very nearly the end of it, and you'll be back, of course, at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
I've got a great story for tomorrow to tell the audience. Mozart. Mozart got involved in an emotional battle with another composer of the day over a 21-year-old...
Somebody as famous as him or not?
Well, he wasn't as famous, but he was a prominent composer of the day. And it was all over a 20-year-old opera singer in Vienna.
Oh, dear.
I love Vienna. What a city Vienna is.
When was the last time you were there?
At the World Cup, when it was in Austria and Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
And it was wonderful. I stayed in Vienna for quite a lot of the time.
I haven't been there for many years. Yeah. But we'll talk about that coming up on the show tomorrow. We'll also be Porky Quiz Night.
Mozart.
You interviewed Mozart?
Yeah. Interviewed Mozart.
Well, that'll be fascinating. I don't know how you managed to do that unless you were going back in time.
It was a model guy who stood on a plinth in the town square.
It's not the same. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.
When you listen to him, and listen to him, you think you're listening to somebody who's got a point of view that is debatable.
Excuse me, I clear my throat in. Russia is great country, Turkey back off.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Not every dog is going to be able to fly a plane,